Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Open. It is a Wednesday, June 18th. Thank everybody for being here. June is about to be done, which is kind of crazy because a couple weeks ago we were talking about entering into June. And now in about 12 days, we're done. In about 2 weeks, June is over and we enter into July, which will be the 7th month of the year. Basically done with half the year. And then after July and August, which is summer, which by the way, in New Jersey, it's not really getting hot yet. You would think by June it gets like actually hot. It's like kind of not cold, but relatively like kind of chilly outside. After the summer, we're in my favorite part of the year, September through December. And it is kind of crazy that it's happening this quick, but it does feel like it is happening pretty quick. In terms of the market, we got a bunch of updates to talk about. Today is also FOMC day, which feels relatively insignificant given everything that's been going on over the past couple of days. Obviously, with Israel and Iran, we have some new updates on that we'll be talking about. Iran did say last night that they would be giving a surprise attack to Israel that the world has never seen. Basically, that was the implication of the attack. They did use the word surprise, which is kind of confusing to me because when I gave my mom a surprise birthday dinner back in December of 2024, I didn't tell her I was giving her a surprise birthday dinner. So that was a little bit confusing. We haven't really seen that over the past 12 hours yet. Maybe that's coming. Maybe it's going to be a surprise in the future, I guess. But nonetheless, we'll talk about some updates on that. The markets really don't care. Robinhood, 75.16. Palantir, 139. Tessie, 317. NVIDIA, 144. Grab's at 480. We do have an update on Grab. We'll talk about it in a second. SoFi, 1450. Google's 176. I mean, everything's green. We were down a little bit yesterday to end out the day. S&P was down like 1% or 0.75%. S&P right here is up a little bit in the pre-markets. In general, the market has not really cared that much about any of the headlines. We had some crazy headlines yesterday. Trump saying he literally can press one button and kill the supreme leader of Iran, saying that they're occupying all of the land space or all of the airspace of Iran. He said the word we, which is implying that he's working theoretically with Israel. And the market really didn't bat an eye. Market did not care. You got everything up pretty much in the pre-markets. Indices are green. Uber, Walmart, Lyft, Home Depot, Cisco, Alibaba, Hims, which has a new update. We'll talk about Hims green in the pre-market. I mean, so far, the market has just not showed they care this much about it. Quite frankly, I think the FOMC meeting where Jay Powell says if he's going to cut rates or hike them or pause, hint, hint, he's going to pause. Kind of ruining the surprise here, but there is no surprise. We know that he's going to pause. That also, I think, could have a bigger impact on stocks. I think it quite frankly will have a bigger impact on stocks based on how dovish or hawkish he is versus what's going on with Iran and Israel. Because so far the market has basically shown that they don't care that much about everything going on. So we will cover Jay Powell. It'll be at 2:30 Eastern. I'll be live again at 2:30 Eastern. We're probably going to end out the market open maybe like at 11:30 or 12. And then at 2:30 Eastern, I'll be live at like 2:25. And 2 p.m., we get the dot plot, the summary of economic projections, along with the decision. Probably I'll be live at like 2:20, so 10 minutes before. And then at 2:20, we'll go through all the numbers and, see what Jay Powell has to say as well. But regardless, markets just didn't care. Markets just didn't care this much. Amit, did you see Martin's stream on Quantum? So I did see the thumbnail, and I saw some people talking about it. I didn't see the video, so let me know if I'm wrong because I didn't fully watch it. But the thumbnail was I was wrong on Quantum. Now, I didn't watch it, so I know some of the Quantum people on Twitter really went to town when they saw that thumbnail. So I don't know if he was trolling in that video or not. But I mean, dude, D-Wave got upgraded today to $20. I didn't read the report, but I saw they got upgraded today. D-Wave right here up another 1%. We've been talking about this for the past month now. He could be right theoretically on the thesis. And even if that's true, it doesn't mean the stocks have to cooperate. So I don't know. Maybe he takes down the short. Maybe he tries to go long to cover some of the money in the short. But over the coming months, I think we'll find out exactly how he's trying to do it. Yeah, I felt like it was a little bit of clickbait or trolling. So given how confident he is, it would be hard to imagine he just immediately reverses his position. But again, these stocks are not cooperating to the downside as he's wanted to see. Even if he thinks that, Quantum is not a real thing. All right, cool. So let's get into it. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Good morning. Good morning. Isaac Prats, what's up? Gene, what's up? Geoist, Peter, Matthew, Spencer, good morning. Deepin, Kyle, June, thank you all for being here. No Stress Invest, what's up? The market is pretty much priced in all the good news, though. I personally would like a healthy 5 to 10% pullback before we go higher. Jason was talking about this yesterday as well. I wouldn't mind a 5 to 10% pullback. I've got some cash. I would, theoretically love to start some new positions in some companies as well. I just don't know what's the catalyst for a 5 to 10% pullback. We also have housing data and initial jobless claims. We usually get this on Thursday, but because the market's closed tomorrow, we got it today. So we'll talk about that data in a second. But yeah, I don't know what the catalyst is to really give us a 5% dip. Now, it could just happen because we've been so green for 2 months, but I don't think it would be the craziest thing in the world. I think the hedge funds would love to get a 5% dip as well. Kane, what's up? Jeff, what's up? Matthew, good morning. Autumn Soul, Rob, Sean, thanks for being here. That's a funny ticker symbol for AK Media. I love it. Ian, what's up? Chels So Hollywood. Love that name. Chels So Hollywood. What's up? What's up? Wick John, Geo, Jeff, JJ, thank you all for being here today. Miami meetup details are coming soon. I've been working behind the scenes trying to figure it out. Hopefully by the end of next week, I will have the exact date and time. So for all those people in Miami, we're going to make it happen. And I think it'll be fun. It'll be fun. So hopefully, again, August 23rd. That's kind of my tentative date. But we will have details pretty soon. Joe, what's up? Matthew, Smackdown. Andy, Christopher, Fear and Greed. Yep, that is at 53. We are starting to get more neutral on it as well, which is a very good thing. Thomas, Chan, Brofesco, Joe. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you all for being here. All right, so cool. Let's get started. I think the first thing we can get started with right here is, well, let's do some macro data real quick. And then I want to show you guys a chart that kind of went viral last night that is really important. And I think is emblematic of all this bullishness that we are seeing, especially in the AI growth sector. Triple V, thank you for the $100 super chat. I appreciate you. Thank you, brother, for the $100 super chat. Yeah, thanks for being here, sir. Thank you for being here and spending your morning with me. I now for the next 10 minutes, all the comments are going to be guessing who Triple V is. But I love how I told you guys, this guy is like a good friend with Derek. All of you guys know Derek, and you guys still think he's Alex Karp or he's Vlad. All right, by the way, dude, I didn't want to say this, but I'm going to say this. I don't care. I don't care. And I am not lying about this. I'm not trolling like Metallica here, which, by the way, I listened to that song yesterday, not the puppet song, the other one, Enter Sandman. And then the other one, hold on. I was in the car. I was like, you know what? Let me finally listen to this thing. The other one with 2.1 billion plays, Nowhere to Go or something like that. Whatever this name of the song was. I didn't like it, bro. I was like, what is this, bro? This was not like, I'm sorry. I know I'm going to piss off the Metallica fans here, but I really was just like, this is not, nothing else matters. Nothing else matters in Enter Sandman. I'm sorry. I didn't like it. It was not that interesting. I was just like, it wasn't that. Maybe I got to listen to more, but they weren't the best songs. Anyway, what I was going to say is, I was saying you guys think Triple V is Alex Karp or Vlad. Bro, I don't want to say this because it is what it is, but I'm going to say this. Both of them. When I mean them, I mean Alex Karp and Vlad Tenev. They showed up in my dream last night. I don't even know they showed up in my dream. I can go into more detail later. What happened in the dream? It was at some event. Both of them were at the event. I woke up and I was like, what is going on, bro? I don't know why. Last night, out of all nights, they randomly showed up in both of them. And I'm not even making this up to be funny. Like, genuinely, I woke up and I was just like, what is going on? But yeah, both of them were in my dream. It's weird, bro. It's weird. Like, both of these guys have done a lot for me in my life, but still, like, they showed up in my dream. I don't think I was thinking about them that much yesterday. I don't know why they showed up. Maybe because Robin had launched like this new product and we streamed it, and all the New York Times stuff was happening with Palantir. So I guess they were both in like my subconscious. But you guys can say gay all you want. I don't care. Like, they both showed up in my dream. Both of them. It was weird, but they're both there. So anyway, U.S. initial jobless claims, 245 versus 245 expected. That was good. Over the past 3 weeks, we were actually rising in initial jobless claims. So it's nice to see that one kind of chilled out. So overall, initial claims weren't that crazy today. U.S. housing starts were really bad. May housing starts came in at 1.256 million, well below the 1.35 million. Building permits also missed, falling 2% to 1.393 million. So obviously, the housing sector in the United States is not doing well. and there are not a lot of houses being started because rates are not coming down. There's also not a lot of people that are willing to sell their houses, because why would you sell your house if you know that you're going to have to buy another house at a 7.5% mortgage? There are a very few amount of people that are selling their house and then going to an apartment to wait out the next couple of years until rates come down so that they can buy a new house. Most people, when they sell a house, like when my parents bought the house that I'm in right now in 2020, they had to or when they bought this house, they had to sell their old house, right? Most people in America have to sell their current property to even have the capital to put a down payment on a new property. So from that perspective, until we get more housing starts, which means until we get rate cuts, it's just going to be hard to imagine that, that's going to be meaningful for the broader housing market. So that was kind of some of the core macro updates we got this morning. And other than that, outside of FOC, we don't have any crazy macro stuff later today, but FOMC is going to be a big one. But those were the two big ones that we got this morning. Calls on Grindr, dude. I'm serious. They both showed up in my dream, and Triple V reminded me of this because everyone thinks he's freaking Carper Vlad in the chat, and literally, I cannot make this up, bro. I'm not making it up to make it up. Like they both showed up in my dream, and I woke up and I was just like, I just like have a conversation with both of these guys. I'm like, no, I was dreaming, bro. Like, what's going on here? But thank you, Triple V, for the super chat. And yeah, they both showed up in my dream. All right, cool. So that's what we had in the context of macro. Now let's pull up this chart right here that I think is kind of important to take a look at, and then we'll talk more about Israel, Iran. I mean, honestly, there's not really that many updates on Israel, Iran. Last night they said that. I mean, I guess we'll do this real quick. This is the update that the Iranian Supreme Leader said right here. This morning, about 30 minutes ago, he said the Americans must understand any military intervention will undoubtedly bring them irreversible harm. Again, the dude is just talking to talk at this point, because we all know that if Iran even dare touches an American military base, if they so far as lay a finger on an American military base, I mean, like, Trump's not going to hesitate to do what he needs to do. And we know this. We know this already. I mean, we could wipe them off the face of the earth. That's just the truth of it. And so could China. So could Russia. It's just like we are a bigger superpower than Iran. And they don't have even 1/10 of the military capabilities that we have. So the idea that he's saying, oh, like the United States should be scared, it's like no one's scared in the United States. But the question is, do they have something that we don't know about? And that comes down to our intelligence and being as good as it is to figure out, hey, do they actually have a nuke? Do they have something we don't know? And based on the reports I've seen, Iran is just posturing like they always tend to posture. Now, this came from the New York Times yesterday. Iran is preparing missiles to strike U.S. assets and military bases if America enters into the war, per the New York Times. I think Iran would do it. I think they legit would say, hey, we are going to like attack the United States. The question just becomes, is that the smartest thing for them to do? And it might not be. It just might not be, given the strength and scope of our military. And then this happened last night as well. Iranian state TV said tonight a great surprise will occur, one that the world will remember for centuries. It's been 12 hours. There has not been a great surprise. Maybe that great surprise is coming again. When I gave my mom a surprise birthday dinner yesterday, or not yesterday, but like in December 2024, I didn't tell her there was a surprise. And I actually did a good job. We went to a Broadway show. We went to get coffee. I took her to some bakeries, like, because I had to stall for the entire day. So I did a pretty good job not telling her that there would be a surprise dinner. I kind of would have ruined the surprise if I told her, like, she was genuinely surprised. Iran's kind of ruining the surprise by telling us this is going to happen, and it makes you believe that it's not going to happen. So right now, they did exchange missiles last night, back and forth, both Iran and Israel. The question is simply, will it lead to some escalation of a war that makes the United States get on the offensive? And I don't know. None of us know yet, but ultimately we're going to find out and see what happens. Final thing right here on Iran, Israel, and then we'll move on to some more macro stuff. Tucker Carlson is coming out with a podcast with Ted Cruz today. This clip went pretty viral, got 20 million views yesterday based on a portion of their interview.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah.
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay,
it's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay, I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
claims anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the
I'm
one
not saying that.
who can't figure out
I'm
if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
They're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe
we're
that,
carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here, because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting Israel.
High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay, so that went pretty viral yesterday. We're going to get the full interview later today. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more context to everything that was going on. But as you can see, you've got someone pretty influential like Tucker Carlson challenging a U.S. senator on the stance that he has on us theoretically going into war. Now, Ted Cruz has been relatively anti-war most of his life. It seems like on this subject, he is a little bit more pro getting involved with Iran. There's going to be a lot of debates in this country. There's going to be a lot of debates in this country if this actually goes through. And, we're going to see a lot more media trying to cover it and figure out what is the actual narrative that this plays out. But I think that interview will launch later today, and then we'll kind of get a better gist of at least some of our senators and how they're ultimately thinking of this going on, or of how this is going on, and if we actually do philosophically deserve to get involved. Because I think it's really black or white. There's not a lot of gray for a lot of people. There's people that are saying either no, there's just no way we should do this, or yes, like this is important. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. And it's going to be a big debate over the coming months if this continues over the coming months as well. All right, so let's get into some macro updates in the context of some of these stocks. Here's something I wanted to show everyone. This also went pretty viral yesterday, and then we'll get into some of the other headlines we have. Co2, which is an investment firm with $70 billion AUM, they put out their 2030 market cap projections across the entire technology stack. And it was pretty interesting. These are the highlights from it. You can see right here on the screen, these are all the companies, but these are the highlights. They think Fomc is going to get to $528 billion. This is 5 years from now. Microsoft, $5.7 trillion. NVIDIA, $5.6 trillion. Amazon, $3.6. Meta, $2.8. Tesla, $2.5. Shopify, $344. CrowdStrike, $300 billion. Broadcom, $1.9 trillion. Oracle, $1.5 trillion. That would be like almost a triple for Oracle. And then Netflix, $834 billion. And then you have some other ones on the list. AppLovin, $314 billion. They think SpaceX, $871 billion. They think OpenAI is going to be $1.6 trillion. ServiceNow, $511 billion. Stripe, which is $90 billion right now, they think that's going to go to $511 billion. The takeaway I got from this is two things. Number one, they don't have Google or Apple on the list, which is kind of crazy. Now, Apple is whatever, right? You don't have to have Apple on the list. You can imagine Apple doesn't maintain $3.5 trillion by 2030 if they don't get their act together. Google is just like completely disrespected on this list. I mean, they have Amazon, they have Meta, they have Tesla, they have Microsoft, NVIDIA, they have pretty much all the Mac 7 except Googs and Apple, which to me was quite interesting that they're discounting Goog to such an extent that they won't even think it's going to be worth what? I mean, they have companies that are under a trillion on this. They have companies that are worth 300 billion by 2030 on this, but they don't have Google even being worth $1 trillion because they just didn't put it on. So that was the first thing. They didn't put Google on this list. And the second thing that my core takeaway, and I'm curious what other people think once I saw this list, was I want to be long all these names. Like, I think the takeaway was buy the NASDAQ. Or like, don't be afraid to establish heavier positions in these names. Like, do we really think Microsoft is not going to be close to $6 trillion in 5 years? Do you think NVIDIA is not going to be anywhere near $6 trillion, if not way above that? Do you think Amazon's not getting to $3 trillion? Meta's not going to get to around $900 to $1,200 a stock? Like, this stuff is happening. Barring a massive economic recession, these companies simply have moats, free cash flows, and buyback programs that will allow their share prices to compound. And if there's any massive AI revolution that leads to the influx of jobs going away, these are the companies that uniquely will benefit from this. We talked about this on the market close yesterday. Amazon said they put out a letter. Jassy literally put out a letter to his employees saying, we will not need as many employees over the next 5 years due to generative AI. And he kind of put it out as this statement that we are going to become more lean as an organization because there are just some jobs that are going to be automated via AI. Obviously, Robinhood did not make this list. Robinhood does not qualify as like this massive multi-$100 billion tech company. I do think by 2030, Robinhood could be, well over 100 billion in market cap. Right now, they're at like 65 billion. But in terms of the main companies, Shopify, Spotify, Meta, TSM, they think it's going to be 2.7 trillion. Like all these companies, NVIDIA, Amazon, Meta, it is quite incredible. They think Databricks will be 330 billion, Anthropic will be 331. It's just, hey, like being long American tech, obviously selective solidification versus diversification matters, because like, you know, if you own one piece of everything, it's going to be hard to like really build any wealth. You got to take some bets and actually develop some heavy positions and stuff. But still, it would be incredibly productive to see all these stocks get that type of momentum. So again, this is in 5 years. No AMD was on the list. Now, these were their fantastic 40. Maybe they have AMD as number 41. Maybe they have Google as number 43 or 44. But they didn't have them on the list. So these were the top 40 that they ultimately brought out. Thank you for the $20 super chat. If Bitcoin is 5 trillion, MicroStrategy would likely be 500 million in market cap. I think yes, if Bitcoin gets to a double from here, which is basically what, because right now it's like 2.1, then MicroStrategy could quadruple. It's just a question of like how much dilution does Saylor do in the midst of that. But he's stopped a lot of the at the money offerings. He's doing a lot of stuff with the preferred stock to be able to raise the money to buy Bitcoin. He bought 10,000 Bitcoin on Monday. So yeah, I mean, if the dilution kind of chills out and the hype is there, because I mean, if Bitcoin gets to, what would it be, 250,000 to get to that 5 trillion market cap? Yeah, I would imagine MicroStrategy is not going to be stuck at $400. So that definitely would be productive for that asset class. So that's what we got in the context of that Coatue list. Again, went viral. I'll show it again later and see what people think of it. But I do think a lot of those companies would get a ton of momentum over the next 5 years and kind of, hey, these are the companies that we want to bet on. It's the companies they own. It might be. I didn't go that deep into Coatue's investment firm itself. They might own those companies as well. But still, just the idea that they're projecting this type of a CAGR. Now, Palantir at 528 billion, people are like, oh, that's not a lot because Palantir is only going to grow 10% for the next 5 years. Maybe Palantir is at $1 trillion by then, but Palantir is already 20x'd within a year and a half. And so I think them being conservative on the 10% CAGR is just them saying, hey, it's already pulled forward a lot of growth. Palantir is probably going to overall get a chance to grow into that valuation. Now, maybe the growth is so explosive, NVIDIA type of growth, that Palantir just runs to $1 trillion because there really is that much growth. Question is just going to be over the next 5 years if that ends up playing out. Speaking of AI and how much momentum's happening in AI, look at what Sam Altman said yesterday on a podcast around Meta and what some companies are doing, like Meta, to take away talent from OpenAI.
They started making these like giant offers to, a lot of people on our team. Like $100 million signing bonuses, more than that comp per year.
It's crazy.
And it is crazy. I'm really happy that at least so far, none of our best people have decided to take them up on that. I think that people sort of look at the two paths and say, all right, OpenAI's got a really good shot, a much better shot at actually delivering on super intelligence, and also may eventually be the more valuable company. But I think the strategy of a ton of upfront guaranteed comp, and that being the reason you tell someone to join, like really the degree to which they're focusing on that and not the work and not the mission. I don't think that's going to set up a great culture. And I hope that we can be the best place in the world to do this kind of research. They started making these like giant offers to.
Okay, so I heard that yesterday and I thought that was insane. Now, why was that insane? Two things. Number one, he says Meta might be, or he says OpenAI might be worth more than Meta one day, which Meta's at what, 2 trillion or just about. I mean, OpenAI is at 300 billion. It is not crazy to imagine if OpenAI, which has about 1 billion users, gets to like 4 or 5 billion users over the next decade. And Meta is basically saturated, right? They're not going to be getting that many users. Also, Meta doesn't have an AI bot that is as, one would say, I guess, brand oriented like ChatGPT. Like when people think of AI, the average person, they think of ChatGPT, right? So Meta doesn't have that. Now Meta has AI products and they have AI advertising. They have AI internal tools, but like no one goes to Meta's AI chatbot to ask questions. You go to ChatGPT, you go to Grok, you go to Gemini. And so the idea that OpenAI could be worth more than Meta, I think is very plausible if they are able to execute correctly. Again, they're projecting about 125 billion in revenue by the end of 2030. Meta's probably going to be doing like 450 billion revenue by then. But still, that is something to consider in regards to Sam Altman's ambitions here with OpenAI. Number two, 100 million, bro. 100. That's an NBA level contract. That's a 5-year NBA guaranteed contract that they're giving to AI researchers to leave some of these companies and join their their AI departments. And you know what's really interesting about this as well? Meta just took a 49% stake in Scale AI. They put in $15 billion as an investment. The company's only worth $30 billion. And the head of Scale AI, Alexander Wang, he left. He joined Meta. And for the past year, I thought this guy was trying to like be the next AI multi-hundred billionaire in terms of like really building an AI data labeling company. And he left and he joined Zucks. And I would imagine he got more than a couple $100 million to be able to just leave a startup that theoretically could be worth, just by pure valuation alone, over the tailwind of the momentum, a couple $100 billion in the next 10 years. He left to go join Meta, which means he probably saw a lot more upside in Meta stock, and he probably got a lot more cash compensation. So the idea that talent is being siphoned away to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars just shows how in demand AI as a research mechanism is, especially for the people that are at the highest of their levels that can actually understand this. I don't think they're, giving $100 million to a software engineer. They're giving $100 million to someone who can really understand what it means to break through for artificial general intelligence. And the more important thing right here as well is that if they're giving this much money away, if Sam Altman's not lying, and he's seen that his employees have been poached away with offers to $100 million, I think you buy NVIDIA. You buy NVIDIA. It's just that you buy freaking NVIDIA. Like, if they're willing to spend $100 million on one person, you buy NVIDIA and you don't freaking complain about it. You hold your nose and buy it, even at these levels, because it's just, where do we think it's going at that point? UBS put out a great report yesterday. They think it's going to 280 by the end of 2026, and they have relatively conservative projections in terms of how they think of data center revenue growth. There is no way Meta pays anyone $100 million if they don't think that this industry is going to be so unbelievably dramatic, or so unbelievably asymmetric to the upside, which would lead to dramatic ROIs on that $100 million, that NVIDIA won't be the backbone of that. Yes, also Micron will be involved, Broadcom will be involved, AMD will be involved. NVIDIA really is a metaphor for all the semiconductors that will be necessary to build up that industry. But NVIDIA is the rock star of the game. And so whatever semiconductor stock, whether it's AMD, NVIDIA, Micron, that you think will play a role here, obviously I think NVIDIA just has a moat that's really hard to deny. They are all going to catch a bid over the next 5 years. The question is which one outperforms, and none of us know that necessarily, but it does mean that there will be a bid on this. I think for the next 5 years, people that were saying this is all going to be cyclical, it's going to be up and down like Cisco in 2000. I don't know, dude. If it is, I think it's going to be surprising to a lot of people, because unless we reach AGI tomorrow, this is going to be something that needs to be built out probably for the next decade, minimum for the next 5 years, absolutely for the next 2 years, which means any of these valuation models can kind of price in the growth expectations that are still going to be well over 40 to 50%, which means a Nebius will have a little bit of a bid, right? Nebius right here, 48.50. A CoreWeave, which hit all-time highs yesterday, that will also have a bit of a bid. 172.80. That's up another 0.5% right here in the pre-markets. 175 was the all-time high on CoreWeave. We're Circle in the pre-markets. Circle is 153, up another 2.7%. Arrow was down a little bit on the day, but it still ended green. Arrow down about 0.03%. Nothing too crazy. 29.75. But that one also a successful IPO. Tesla right here, 317 in the pre-markets right now. Just because NVIDIA is the better company doesn't mean that it's the best stock to own out of all those in current prices. I own NVIDIA, but I'm just saying only buy NVIDIA is kind of dumb. Yeah, I mean, it's not only buy NVIDIA. It's obviously, take your pick of the litter when it comes to the AI tech stack. But to me, if they're spending the reason I said NVIDIA is because if you're spending $100 million to get someone to research AI at your company, one can imagine that they have no problem spending money on the GPUs. I mean, they think of the GPU as a commodity at that point. Like, all these companies just think of the CapEx they have to spend as like inevitable on these GPUs, because they know they're going to have to spend even more on the talent eventually to be able to make something of those GPUs. But if you don't even have the GPUs, you're not in the game, which to me means the foundation, the backbone of this, starts with NVIDIA. But what I'm trying to say is for the next 5 years, bro, I think that Coatue list is going to be right. I think we're going to see some market caps that are pretty incredible. And this will be one of the greatest bull rallies we have seen in the history of the stock market, because you've just never had something as explosive like AI outside of the internet. And, all of us can participate in that rally as well. XAI is reportedly burning $1 billion a month. Yeah, I can't imagine how much they're paying for research. They're going to be raising about $9 billion in equity and debt. That came out yesterday from Bloomberg. And Elon kind of hinted that it was accurate, because Elon was basically like, yeah, GPUs are expensive, in one of the replies to someone on Twitter. So they're spending a lot of money, and a lot of that money is going to NVIDIA. By the way, Elon also said yesterday that digital superintelligence may happen this year.
I think we're quite close to digital superintelligence. It may happen this year, and if it doesn't happen this year, next year for sure. The digital superintelligence is defined as smarter than any human at anything.
So, Elon, based on whatever he's seeing at Grok and XAI, his argument is, hey, like this intelligence thing, it's happening. And when it does happen, the implications are going to be profound. But the question is just when. Maybe it's going to be 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. When it does happen, the one thing that's the most exciting is that it is going to have profound impacts on society. Now, the reason I don't think we're there yet is because Siri can't even order you a flight, right? Like we're talking about general intelligence workflows that quite literally change your life. And we're not there yet. We don't have agents that can really meaningfully make a dent in terms of like how people are living their day-to-day lives. Once that does happen, I think productivity goes through the roof. And that's something that's going to be very hard for a lot of people to deny as well. JP Morgan did file JPMD yesterday, hinting at a possible stablecoin offering. We talked about that. It does feel pretty obvious that JP Morgan is getting into the broader crypto ecosystem as well, even though Jamie Dimon called it rat poison and he said it's horrible and he said he never wants to be part of it. I don't think JP Morgan, the institution, can deny that crypto is a massive industry. They also started letting their fiduciaries allow their wealth management clients to start buying Bitcoin. So before, for the past 5 years, they didn't allow them to get any exposure to Bitcoin. Now, based on the BlackRock IBIT ETF, it's very easy for any wealth manager to recommend exposure to Bitcoin. And so I think that headline came out about a couple of weeks ago that JP Morgan is opening up to allowing their wealth managers to allocate to Bitcoin. So in general, all of them are starting to get more friendly towards it, which also means, I mean, again, if we think NVIDIA's at 6 trillion, where do we think Bitcoin's at? Especially if we keep printing money, like, especially if rates come down by 2030, maybe we're not at 1%, but we're at 2.5, 3%. It does feel like all that liquidity would also be good for Bitcoin. Quick update on Grab. So yesterday we got a dark pool order on Grab at 480 for 41,483,427 shares. Premium of about $199 million was put into the stock. Now, the thing about dark pools is, again, we don't know if they bought or they sold. You never know on the dark pool if they bought or if they sold. Do I think this was a buy? Yes, because at this price, trading at 50% cash, I don't know who is selling. Especially, I don't know who's selling 41 million shares. Here's another source to kind of confirm this was the exact order on the dark pool. Could it have been sell? Yeah. I mean, someone could have dumped 41 million shares. Again, I just think based on all the momentum we've seen in terms of the convertible note raise, the amount of cash they have on the balance sheet, their earnings growth, again, they're growing adjusted EBITDA of 50%. It would be hard for me to see someone saying, hey, we're going to sell 41 million shares. It was not AK Media, unfortunately. I wish I had 40 million shares. That'd be fun. But it kind of feels like a toot that just increased their position or initiated position. And if that's the case, then I think there will be some potential updates that we're going to see in the context of Grab. Now, remember, a dark pool is just like a synonym for institutional trading orders that are happening behind the scenes that institutions don't want to move the market or don't want to be seen as moving the market. So if a Stanley Druckenmiller theoretically was investing in Grab, he's not going to go on his little Schwab app and buy 41 million shares of Grab, because that would let the whole market know that someone's like making a big purchase right here. He would go through a sophisticated, basically underground kind of tunnel. You can metaphorically think of it via the brokerage that he uses. And he would have either multiple orders or one big order happen at one time. And the goal of that order in the dark pool is to minimize the impact on the stock. And there's very sophisticated algorithms that actually create that sale or buy. Warren Buffett uses dark pools all the time. Bill Ackman uses dark pools. So the idea is it's going to show up on the scanners because the technology is sophisticated enough to see the sales, but it shouldn't move the price. And I don't know, 40, again, maybe it's a sell. Maybe someone sold 41 million shares, but if they bought it, then they definitely think that there's some momentum to the upside on this. And over the coming weeks, we'll find out more. Yeah, exactly. It's a private exchange that happens with two parties, basically. We got another Amit in the chat, folks. Amit Bhandari. There's not many of us out there, bro. We're a rare species. We are a rare species. But exactly, it's a private exchange that happens between two parties. One party that decides to buy, one party that decides to sell. And it happens essentially underground from all the other brokerages for these buys. We don't have a lot of Amits in the world, bro. We got an Amit. You know, my name technically is Islamic and Israeli. Like, my name is not a traditional Indian name. It's not an actual like Hindi name. It has Israeli roots and it also has Islamic roots. Like when I looked at the etymology of my name, it's in many parts of Islam, but it's also in many parts of Judaism, which is actually quite interesting. I didn't know about that. And it means infinite. The name means infinite. So yeah, that's what Amit means. I was looking at the other day. I was like, wow, it's a very like nuanced name that has a lot of this history towards it. But it is, bro, it is generic. Dude, why are you trying to underplay the specialty of my name? Everyone's like, dude, it's a random name. Look, honestly, I haven't met a lot of Amits in my life. Yeah, it might be a more generic name in India. I get it. But like, I haven't met a lot of Indians that are named Amit. Bro, your name is basic. All right, well, I was trying to be a little special right here. Yes, Amit in Hebrew is a friend. Correct. Amit in Hebrew is a friend. Correct. Dude, I'm telling you, go on Wikipedia. Look at my name. There's Israeli roots, and then there's roots in the context of Islam as well. So my name is but yes, I mean, like the name is common in India. I just haven't met a lot of Indian Amits. And now, granted, there's 1.4 billion Indians, and I haven't met all of them. But still, the point is the name is, you know, it has a variety of different parts to how it was created. Grab right here, 480 in the pre-markets. Robinhood. Okay, so we got an update on Robinhood, 75.20 right here in the pre-markets. I was going to buy it at 73.50 yesterday, but I wanted to be I was like, hey, I'm being greedy right here. You know, there might be a World War III. Maybe I can get this thing at 70. Apparently 73.50 was the dip, at least as of yesterday. We got a Robinhood insider, the ex-DoorDash director, who joined Robinhood on their board of directors in December of 2024. He bought $2 million worth of shares at 74. Now, look, yes, it's not a ton of money, $2 million worth of shares, 26,000 shares. And yes, this board of director doesn't have a lot of shares because he joined 8 months ago. So he's probably being forced to buy at these higher prices. But the point is, he's buying. That's all that matters. He's buying. So the fact that he is buying means that at the end of the day, he could not buy, right? He could say, hey, I want to wait for a dip. I don't need to buy right now. You know I don't have a ton of shares and maybe I want to increase my share allocation over the long term because I'm going to be on this BOD for a while. But I want to wait until the market gives me 60 or 60. He's not waiting. He's buying. So I think that's actually really interesting right here. 2 million worth of shares at 74. This is the first insider buy since February that we have seen on Robinhood. Manuel says, guys, I don't understand it. Iran conflict is very close to even more escalation and early market is trading like there is no tomorrow. You know, we've been trying to figure out the same sentiment for the past couple of days. The market has not cared at all about this conflict. And I think it's because there's two ways the market's pricing it in. Number one, they're saying, hey, it will escalate, but it will not escalate to World War III, which means buy the dip. Or B, if it does escalate, the United States is going to get involved and put an end to it very quickly. And hopefully it doesn't turn into a 10-year Iraq type of war. Now, we don't know which of those outcomes are going to be true. We don't know if there's a third outcome, which is that it could get a lot worse than we think. But I think the market is basically calling BS on Iran. And they're saying, hey, whatever threats they're putting out there are not going to be solidified with any action. And if we do get rid of their nuclear facilities, whether it's Israel or the United States, at the end of the day, that means that, you know, U.S. stocks can move on and we can kind of all move on in terms of how we're thinking about everything. So that's why I think the market's not reacting. That's why I think the market's not reacting to now. Yeah, Bitcoin falling is technical. Jason was talking about this yesterday as well. I mean, Bitcoin right here at 104 down from 107. One could argue it's like people are afraid of geopolitics, therefore they're getting risk off. But then they would get into gold, and gold was down 1% yesterday. Gold's barely up today. It's up 0.08% right now. So it's not like really people are trading Bitcoin for gold. It's kind of, it feels a lot more technical on both of the assets that are either going up or down, which is detached from what's going on in Israel and Iran. I mean, the only thing you can point to is like some of these defense contractors were up. You can obviously point to Palantir potentially being perceived as benefiting from what's going on in terms of their software being used. That could be, you know, getting a bid. But outside of that, it's hard to draw any meaningful conclusions across the market, up or down, on these stocks based on what's going on geopolitically. I don't like PLTY over Misty because Palantir is at all-time high. So you got to remember, Steve talked about this in his article. You can read it on Seeking Alpha. If you buy PLTY, which is the yield max fund for Palantir, you're buying when Palantir is at all-time highs. MicroStrategy is not at all-time highs. So if Palantir takes a massive drop, or if there's like a regular 5% correction, PLTY is going to get hit. Whereas Misty, MicroStrategy has been in a little bit of a range, and the top on MSTR was like 540. Now it's at 380 or something. So you do have some more room to run. Now, granted, the dividend yield on PLTY is exceptional, but that's also because Palantir has continued to go up. So it's one of those things you have to watch out for. If you're getting into yield max, some of these stocks, if you buy the yield max version of it when the underlying is at all-time highs. You just have to be careful about how you navigate it. But I have Misty. Also, NVDY, they declare their dividend today, 67 cents. 67 cents a share for NVDY. Where's ASTS in the pre-markets? ASTS right here, 41.30. That's up about 2.9%. We got the market open in about 2 minutes. UNH, that is still down about 0.5%. Archer is up 1.6. Tessie, 317. Palantir, 138. SoFi, 1439. Googs, 175. Amazon right here at 215. And then Meta just below 700. Also, Hims. Okay, so Hims came out with some gummies today. They came out with some gummies for women, if I'm not wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's some gummies, and they made like this really big commercial out of it. We'll watch it in a bit. And it's for hair loss, if I'm not wrong. Right? It's for hair loss. So they came out with a hair loss gummy. They hyped it up. People got really excited for it. Stocks above 60 right here. We can see if, that can maintain its momentum. But yeah, I don't have too many opinions on it other than the fact that they're shipping product, and in this case, it's not technology product. It's gummies that people can eat, which is a much easier way of consuming medicine than swallowing a pill. So from that perspective, if this leads to more top line revenue growth, then I think it's bullish. And so that's what we got with him. Just thought it was marijuana gummies. Oh my gosh, dude. No, it's not edibles. It is helping you fix your hair loss. So that's what we got in the context of Hims. All right, cool. So here we go. We got about 20 seconds until the market opens. Again, today is FOMC day at 2:30 Eastern. We will get J-Pow and see what he says about if we are pausing, cutting, or raising rates, and ultimately if he's hawkish or dovish on the trajectory of the economy. And stocks will likely react to that when it comes out. Here we go. Wednesday, June 18th, 9:30 a.m. Thank you, everybody, for being here. The stock market is once again open. All right, wake your ass up. Let's get into it. Robinhood, 75.43. 75.43, up about 0.7% on the day. We are green. Where's Hims? Are we moving Hims? As we're moving Hims, Hims 62. Okay, Hims, gummies. Looks like the street likes the gummies. Up 4.5%. Can we just get to 72? Isn't that the all-time high? Can we just get above that at this point? I feel like it's been wanting to for the past month. And it's been doing a good job consolidating, but still, it looks like it really wants to at least get above 65. 61.23 right here on Hims. That's up about 3.7%. Now we just got to see if that can hold that momentum throughout the day. Archer right here at 10.17. Disney at 1.18. Tessie 3.15. That's red. Palantir 1.40. Back to 1.40 on Palantir. Robinhood 75.53. Let's see if we can get back to 77. We did touch it yesterday. NVIDIA right here 143.92. So NVIDIA goes red to start the day. SoFi 14.53. Grabs slightly red, down by about 0.73%. S&P is basically flat but green. Google 176 did not make Coatue top 40 list of companies they see that are going to have a aggressive market cap or a larger market cap in 2030. Amazon right here 216. Meta's at 699, just below 700. Salesforce at 264. Elf 125. EL, Estee Lauder, this one had a great week, 74.34, up about 15% on the week. So that one has had some momentum. Reddit up about 1%, kept about 6 out of the 15% that it had yesterday based on those new AI advertising tools that it put out. Coinbase at 254, Apple at 195. Jason did some really good technical work on Apple yesterday, and the thesis was the downside is maybe 185, the upside is 230, which I kind of agree with. I mean, unless they royally mess up the next years of earnings, I do think the downside is quite limited on Apple, just because you're going to have so many constant inflows come into the stock from passive retail inflows, ETFs, 401ks, etc. And so I kind of, one of the reasons I picked it in my ETF is I kind of think it's going to be a safety, but ultimately we're going to see if we can get any growth out of Apple and if they can change a little bit of the AI narrative. NVIDIA right here, 143.60. That's down 0.43. Palantir 139. Robinhood 75.39 as well. Oscar Health, I think I'm going to be doing a deep dive on this tomorrow. 16.99. I will say I am getting friendlier to this stock. I mean, I found out yesterday their market cap is $4 billion and they have like $2 billion in cash. which is kind of incredible. So I will say, like, I know it's up and it's only up 15% for the year. It's not like it's up a lot. It's not like it's, 10x or anything already. So I will say there is, I don't understand the space that well, but just those pure numbers alone, it's kind of interesting. I mean, you don't often see 30 to 40% of the market cap being traded as cash with the type of growth that Oscar is putting up. So I do think that is one thing that is very positive for the stock. ASTS, are we mooning? We are kind of up 5% of the day, 41.66. We were there 2 days ago. I think it was at 42. Today it hit 42 again, 42.59. Yeah, basically it hit all-time highs today. The all-time high is 42.93. We hit 42.49 for a second. Right now at 41.64. So that's up about 4% right now. Where is Hood? Hood is 70.47. Hood goes red. Grab goes red. Nvidia's red. PayPal's red. Some of these stocks are barely holding on. Tesla's 40 cents away from going red. Palantir also 20 cents from going red. So you got red candles across the board. S&P is going red just now. There's the red candle. We got to see if that continues. Marvell's up 6%. Okay, not bad. Again, they have their AI Investor Day either happening or coming up. I know they delayed it a month ago. This stock has been down all year, so this one getting some love. Chris does have this in his portfolio, so this is going to be great for Chris today. The metals company, TMC, again, this is more of a small cap, but that one, how much is that up today? That one, there you go, up about 14%. The thing is about, if you're buying anything before Powell talks, if Powell says, hey, I don't see any progress on inflation, or Powell says, I don't see any momentum with the trade deals, therefore, we still don't think we're going to get a rate cut anytime soon. Like if he says anything hawkish like that, it could dump stocks. Now that could be a good buying opportunity in my opinion, because the fundamentals of the economy, the earnings growth is good. But I've got some cash and I would love to deploy it after Powell tanks us like at least 3 or 4%, which might not happen. He might go super bullish. But if you are buying right now, you do have to, remember at 2:30, you do have a pretty market moving event based on every syllable that Powell says. Let's actually do that poll in the chat. Do you think a dump or pump on Powell? Do you think a dump or pump on Powell? I kind of think a pump because I think like he's not going to be super hawkish, but dump or Powell speech, dump or pump. Like he's been hawkish all year. Like if there was any time to do a little bit of a pivot, and we're not even asking for a pivot, we're just asking for, hey, can you like tell us you're gonna at least cut rates once? Which remember last time he didn't even cut. He didn't even commit to cutting rates once when he was asked multiple times after the Summary of Economic Projections said that they were going to cut at least 2 times. So this time they're releasing a new dot plot, and if that dot plot is consistent with 2 cuts this year, then he has to be theoretically a bit more dovish because they're literally putting out a new update on cuts. Now, if that dot plot says 1 cut, I think markets are going down. And if that dot plot says 0 cuts, the analyst from Bank of America is getting a raise because he's the only one on the street saying that we're not going to get any rate cuts. So we're going to have to see what he ends up saying. Grab right here, 472. No news on Grab. Grab is just kind of down. It seems like with the rest of the algos, Nvidia's down, PayPal's down. Palantir right here, 138. That one is starting to go down. Google's down. S&P is about to go red. You got some stocks that are green, like Salesforce, Elf, TFC, Pinterest, Enphase recovering 3% after being down 20% yesterday. But the majority of names starting to get a little red. JP Morgan said the war is the wild card. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. And theoretically, if the war is bad for the economy, that could induce rate cuts quicker, but that would be bad, for the economy. But if war is a nothing burger, if this thing does not turn into massive escalation, then, we might just be waiting till September to get there. Is oil going up? That's a good question. I didn't check today. Oil is, it's up, but not a lot, 0.5%. Again, markets are not acting like this is going to be some horrible dramatic event. Oil is already pumped. It did its pump last Friday. So it was down on Monday. So it hasn't really recovered to the point that it's, or it hasn't really accelerated to the point where it's super, super scary yet. Now, if we break 80, that's going to be a bit aggressive, but still. HIMS right here, 61.39, up about 3.5% on the day. Nick, thanks for the 5 super chat for all you HIMS long-term bulls. Nick, I know you got some call options on this one at 64. So this is your pump right here. Even if we don't get to 64, I'm assuming your calls are up a lot today. based on some of this momentum. Where's Tesla? Tessie is 319. Okay, from 315 to 319. So Tesla getting a little bit of love there. There's your green candle. Yeah, round about 316 to 319. Palantir also a green candle, and then Robinhood 74 to 75. There's your green candle as well. I don't think there's any fundamental news on Tesla. It kind of just feels like algos as well, taking that one up. We talked about the China insurance registrations yesterday. But outside of that, I mean, Robotaxi in 3 days. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's your catalyst. Robotaxi in 3 days. Elon tested positive for no drugs yesterday. He did a public drug test, and he has no drugs in his system. No ketamine, no THC, none of that stuff. ARK sees Tesla hitting 8 trillion by 2029. That's kind of old news, but maybe, that headline running around a little bit. I had the ARK people on my channel yesterday for the SpaceX stream, and I got to talk to Brett and Sam about where they think SpaceX is going, and they think it's going to 3 trillion in 5 years. I don't know if that's going to happen, but they did walk through their model philosophically to kind of justify how they get there. And so, one could argue that, yeah, there is a real shot. Now, their model is contingent on us colonizing Mars. I don't know in the next 5 years if we colonize Mars. Their model is also contingent on getting a ton of Optimus robots to go to Mars. I don't know in the next 5 years if we get a ton of Optimus robots that A, can do anything meaningful, B, can actually go to Mars and do stuff that would be beneficial for, like the colonization of the planet. But if all that stuff does happen, Tesla 320, then yes, SpaceX probably could get a ton of valuation expansion. I mean, the one thing they did stress on the pod is that there is no company that can compete with them. Not a Rocket Lab, not an ASTS. I mean, like, there are competitors, but they can't do what Tesla's really doing when it comes to space colonization. And that's also part of Tesla's broader moat. Tesla right here, 320. Let me check resistance at 321. 321, 13,000 shares. Folks, that's not a lot of shares. That's not a lot of shares. There, you're getting a nice little green candle right there. Nice little green candle. Is it going across the market? Kind of. SoFi's getting a little bit of green candle. Grab's getting a green candle. NVIDIA, there's a little bit just from that 143.42 to 143.75. Robin, a little bit of green, but Tesla getting a pretty aggressive one, up about almost 1.5% on the day. Elon took the Hims hair gain gummy. Yes, exactly. Elon took the gummy. Where's Hims? Tesla's trying to go for 321. Hims 61. So Hims is stalling out just at that 61 range, but still up 3%. GameStop 23.23. Rocket Lab 26.67. Disney 118. CoreWeave is down on the day. Walmart's flat. Uber's flat. Nubank, that one's down about 1%. TLT is up a little bit. Is the 10-year up? TLT was actually doing good yesterday. 10 years down. So maybe it's pumping on the 30-year. 10 years not down that much, but 4.3. At least it's below 4.5, which is good. And then Tessie, 2 cents away. No, we hit 321. We hit it. We hit 321.36. Then it came right below. 321.36. Then it came right below. ASTS is mooning. ASTS is... Okay, ASTS is at the same price it was like 5 minutes ago. It's at 41.73. I know we hit 42.49, but we're still at 41.73. It's not back at that 42 level. ASTS right here, 41. Or if it did hit 42 again, it hit it really quick and it came right back down to 41. So it's having some pressure trying to get above 42. Robin 75.29, Palantir 138, and then Tessie did break 321, trying to get above there. Reddit is up 4% on the day. That is correct. What a boring market compared to Monday. Dude, Monday was crazy. Monday woke you up. Monday got you out of bed. Powell speaks at 2:30 Eastern. 2:30 Eastern. 2:30 p.m. Eastern. And I'll be live to see what he says. Hims announced a gummy. That's what they announced. A gummy for hair loss. A gummy for hair loss. I'm going to see if I can try to pull up the video right here. But yeah, it was a gummy for hair loss. Yeah, this is what it is. Prescription gummies under the Hers brand. So it's for women, if I'm not wrong. And it has to do with hair loss. There you go. Their marketing is pretty incredible, dude. Their marketing is amazing. I mean, they really do market like a company that's not just a regular consumer packaged goods company. Tesla right here at 321. And, the street likes it. Or sorry, hair growth. I mean, yeah, I get it. If you eat the pill, it'll grow your hair, but it's for hair loss if you are dealing with that issue. I predict I'm going to lose my hair by the time I'm like 47, 48, which means I'm 28 right now. My dad, I think my dad really started losing his hair back when he was like 50. He's like 65 now, I think 15 years ago. So I think I've got my hair for another 20 years. I've got my hair for another 20 years. And then, yeah, then it's probably going away. My dad's not bald, but like, obviously when you get that old, you're not having as much hair as you used to have. But my dad did have, I mean, you guys saw that picture I posted with my dad the other day. Like, that was like, what, 20 years ago? So he had a full head of hair for a long time as well. My dad's 60 and he still has hair like an 18-year-old. Yeah, some people just have the genetics to, to keep it going. Oscar, where is Oscar? Is that one still, that was a 4%? That is now up 5.9. All right, 17 on Oscar. Again, I don't know enough about this company, but I was going through a little bit of it last night because I think we're going to do a deep dive tomorrow on Thursday. And I was like, you can't deny the numbers, bro. And now with that Senate thing getting omitted, or getting the Medicare part of the tax bill getting omitted by the Senate, that was a massive tailwind for this thing. And it doesn't mean that this thing is expensive at all, even with this 5% pump. I think now it's up almost 20% year to date. So one of the ones that we'll try to go deeper into. Anduril and Rheinmetall, by the way, they partnered today to make some more defense stuff. So Anduril and Rheinmetall are partnered to build military drones for Europe. There you go. That was announced late last night. They will partner to build aerial drones for European markets in a sign of Europe leveraging American technology to boost American capabilities. Rheinmetall, again, has been an incredible stock all year. Anduril, everyone wants this thing to go public. So there is a world in which, a lot of people are just going to be excited for the name when it does go public. Rheinmetall is up 220% year to date. Put in the chat if you have Rheinmetall. And if you do, I wish you guys told me in January to look into Rheinmetall. All my Germans here, they did not tell me to look into defense spending in Germany, but did incredible. Did pretty incredible. By the way, I'm just trolling. All of you guys told me to check out Rheinmetall at like 150. I was like, what is this? Rheinmetall? What is this? I'm focused on NVIDIA. And then DeepSeek happens and NVIDIA goes to the toilet. I'm like, man, should have been focused on Rheinmetall. Should have been focused on that. Will you buy Anduril? Yes. Dude, I'm going to buy the Anduril IPO because for a simple thesis. Like, there is way too much of a cult on that stock. People are dying for it to go. But I'm probably not even going to get the allocation on the IPO. I'm probably going to have to wait until a couple of days after it goes public to even get a chance to buy it. But that is a name that's going to have so much momentum, like the pure excitement people have around betting on Palmer Luckey. I think it's worth an investment. And granted, the bearish part of it is that the margins are going to suck and that there's no commercial business. But those two things can change. They can easily create a commercial business, in my opinion, based on the infrastructure they have. And then margins, it's one of those things where over the long term, could we see them getting, 20% gap net income margins? Yeah, I think it's possible. It's not easy for a hardware manufacturer to do that. But then again, Anduril is growing a lot different than the other hardware manufacturers. And they utilize software in a very sophisticated way to drive their hardware logistics. So I think there's a world in which they can get that done. Robinhood 76 resistance, by the way, 6,000 shares. 6,000 shares for Robinhood at 76. They have not announced an IPO, but Palmer Luckey did say they definitely will be going public. It's just a question of when. Tesla right here, 321.92. Oh, we did hit 322. We hit it. We hit it like 2 seconds ago. It got rejected right at 322, but we did hit 322 on Tessie. 51% of you say dump on the Powell speech. So it's basically 50-50. I think we'll pump. I think Powell will be a little bit more bullish, but at 2:30 today, we will see. There you go. Tesla right back to 322. Wow, Tesla really getting some love today. I think this is pre-robotaxi hype. This is pre-robotaxi hype. I think that's what we're seeing right here on Tessie. 323 resistance on Tesla stock is 8,300 shares. 8,300 shares. Is VG moving? VG 1814. VG, look at that, up 2.6. Again, everything going on with oil and gas. Definitely a tailwind for VG. So that one is green as well. Also, yeah, maybe they announced the Model 2. They've got 2 weeks left. They said by the first half of 2025, they will introduce a brand new affordable vehicle. We don't know what that vehicle is going to be or what it's going to be called. But, you know, if it is the new Model 2, that could also be definitely a tailwind for Tesla. Okay, Palantir 139, Robin trying to get back to 76, Grabs at 477, Grabs is basically flat. Hims right here, Hims giving away all of its, I mean, it's still up 1%, but 62.54 back down to 59.73. Do you guys remember 2 weeks ago when this thing pumped from basically 53 to 65, and then it came all the way back down to 54, and that's when I bought it that day? I mean, this is just one of those names, bro, where like the pumps aren't really respected to such a degree. And the short float is still 35%. The short float is still on Hims. Let me check right here. Yeah, 35%. So it's not like the shorts are giving up right here. Tesla 323, did we get there? Wow, Tesla 323. My goodness, bro. Yeah, this is definitely pumping on Robotaxi. I mean, it's happening in a couple days. You got people probably loading up calls. TSLL probably getting a ton of volume. TSLL right here up about 4.3%, 1244. People getting ready to bet on the future of autonomy. MP, the materials, rare earth mineral stock, this one's up 7%. Again, as Jason said yesterday, this one's very headline driven. So a lot of the gains on this could go away. If we get any bad headlines, they could accelerate if we get headlines. So that one's something you got to watch out for. AMD right here, basically flat on the day after a good week. It was up 10% on Friday or on Monday. Coinbase 254, SMCI. SMCI has been stuck between 40 and 45 for the past couple of weeks. The last big deal they had was that 20 billion MOU from the Saudis. Duolingo 480, that's up about 1%. Lockheed Martin slightly flat on the day. AppLovin, this one's been a disaster ever since they didn't get included into the S&P 500. So that one, which could have happened to Robinhood. Robinhood could have tanked to like 60 after not getting included, but it's basically where it was right before, which is not too bad. Israel is attacking Khamenei's underground headquarters in Tehran. Okay, so that is some more escalation. That's Reuters that's reporting it right now. Yeah, that's the Reuters report that's happening right now. I can see that on my screen. So here's the question. Again, Trump did say they could take out, he literally said they could take out the supreme leader if they wanted. Yeah, are they going to do it? You know, are they going to do it? And are they fully going for a regime change? Like, I don't know, dude. I think a lot of Americans are split on this issue. You got a lot of people in the MAGA base that also really don't want to get into this. So I think the broader question, Trump has not addressed the nation, by the way. He was going to do it last night. He didn't do it. I would imagine today we're going to get some clarity. What do they know? Like, what does Trump know that is so bad about Iran that he had to leave the G7 summit to go focus on this and be in the Situation Room? Like, do they have a nuke? Is something like, what exactly is happening here? Because this is being treated as a very, very serious issue. And I think a lot of the American public, even on Truth Social, if you look out under the comments on Truth Social, whenever Trump was posting last night about something else besides Iraq and Iran, every comment was like, hey, what's going on? We need clarity. What's happening? So I do think a lot of people are looking for more updates on what's going on. Tesla right here at 322 pounds here, 139, currently just below that 140 level. Where is Rocket Lab? Hims again still at 59. Rocket Lab 2690. That's up about 2% on the day. He just left to avoid Zelensky. No, dude, the way he left, it seemed really serious, bro. And, you know, now he's talking about occupying their airspace. We can kill the supreme leader if we want. I have my finger on the button. It's like, all right, so what exactly? Like, what are we so scared about? Like, the American people need to know, like, all right, so if you're collaborating this heavily, what intel do you know? How bad is it? And I think all of us are kind of looking. The market's definitely looking for that question as well, because we just don't have those answers. Jay Powell's at 2:30. 2:30 is going to be speaking. Marvell, great day on Marvell. This is going to be great for Chris's portfolio. Let me pull up the ETFs. Let's see how they're doing. This is going to be great for Chris today. Let's pull this up right here. Okay, so let's see right now who's winning and losing. Chris should be up. Chris is up 1% all time. You guys can see this, 0.98%. Matt's up 1.41. Matt's up all time ahead of Chris. Tanner's down 2% all time. Steve is down 0.10. I'm down 0.22. So I'm fourth. Tanner's fifth. Steve is third. Chris is first, or Chris is second. Matt is first. Matt is first, which makes sense. Everyone voted that Matt was going to win anyway. So far, the audience has been right about which ETF would do well. Marvell right here up 9.4%. This one's incredible. And then Reddit getting some love as well. Reddit, right there you go. Reddit 143, right back to where it was yesterday. Got to see if it can hold these levels, but basically getting the same pump that it got yesterday. And then Oscar right here up about 3%. It's down from that $17 range though. Why is Reddit pumping? So again, Reddit introduced some AI advertising tools last night. That's why it got the initial bump. Let me see if they got an upgrade today. If they did, that's probably why it's getting some more love right here. But it could just be following up on yesterday. Yeah, I mean, you had B. Riley upgrade them to 220. You have a couple upgrades this morning that could be helping it. But again, Reddit's super high beta, very volatile. So you don't need a lot to get Reddit to get some momentum, especially on any piece of good news. Is Circle up again, bro? Goodness gracious. Circle up another 7%, 160, $35 billion company. Goodness gracious, dude. I did not know stablecoins were that big of a deal. Did not know stablecoins were that big of a deal, but I guess they are. I guess they are. Why don't you put portfolio allocation in the app and it becomes simple to track the portfolio? So the portfolio allocation is equal amongst all the stocks. So the way we did it this time, which maybe is not the best way to do it, but the way we did it, we thought it would be the easiest is if we just, like, as you can see, it's $1,000 in every stock, right? So it's not really different. I think maybe next time we do this, we'll actually do it in a more sophisticated way and like, you know, give XYZ stock, XYZ percentage of the portfolio. That would be like the best way to actually manage it. But for this one, because we kind of thought of it in a couple of days, we just like did it in this route. But who knows? Maybe I can talk to the guys and say, maybe we want to like actually make portfolio allocations. I would just go 100% in Palantir at that point. You know, that's not, I'm kidding. But then again. But anyway, yeah, that's why it's just 1-to-1 against everything, which is why like you kind of need all 10 picks to work. Because if you get one pick that works a lot, but the other picks work a little, that one pick that worked a lot is not going to save your portfolio because it has the same type of allocation. So that does, I guess, equal it out a little bit, but also make it harder for someone to win if they have one really good pick, but 9 crappy picks. NVIDIA right here, 144. That goes green. Tessie still green. Robin at 75.56. And then Palantir, 138 right now. Oh, is Trump talking? Oh, boy. We're getting some Trump quotes. Is it Truth Social? Is he talking? Nope. He might be live. Let me see. He's probably with reporters right now. I think we're getting some quotes. Oh, yeah, he's live. Here we go. Wait, can you guys hear it? Yes, no. Dude, why does this keep happening? This is a StreamYard thing. It's not me anymore. It's a StreamYard thing. It's being stupid. This happened 4 times this week. It is not me, dude. It's not me.
So let's say there's rampant inflation, which there's none. You know what? There is a success. I got a call from Congress last night. Sir, there's a problem. I said, what is it? Money is pouring in. We don't know how to account for it. I said, check the tariffs. $88 billion came in from tariffs. No inflation. And it's going to get even more so. I know what I'm doing. So we have a stupid person, frankly, at the Fed. He probably won't cut today. Europe had 10 cuts, and we had none. And I guess he's a political guy. I don't know. He's a political guy who's not a smart person, but he's costing the country a fortune. So what I'm going to do is, he gets out in about 9 months. He gets fortunately terminated. Biden, I would have never reappointed him. Biden reappointed him. I don't know why that is, but I guess maybe.
Dude, the funniest thing about this is Trump is the one who nominated Powell back in 2017. So I agree with him. Powell should be cutting rates, but it's not like this isn't his guy. He's literally blaming Biden for reappointing his appointment in 2017. Like, it's quite hilarious, but nonetheless, yes, Powell should be cutting rates.
Maybe he was a Democrat. I got great advice from Mnuchin on this one. Great advice. But he's done a poor job. So we have no inflation. We have only success. And I'd like to see interest rates get down. Now, Biden did a lot of very short-term debt. So we have short-term debt coming due. And because of this guy's rates, if he'd lowered a point, I'd pay about a point less. Then if he'd lowered 2 points, I'd pay about 2 points less. And that's for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, 5 years. It's hundreds of billions. It's even trillions of dollars that we're going to lose because of this too late. I call him Too Late Powell because he's always too late. I mean, if you look at him, every time I did this, I was right 100%. He was wrong. Maybe I should go to the Fed. Am I allowed to appoint myself, Doug? I don't know. Am I allowed to appoint myself at the Fed? I do a much better job than these people. So anyway, we should be 2 points lower. It'd be nice to be 2.5 points lower. We'd be saving $800 billion, $700 billion. That's a lot of money, right? Think of it, for nothing, for absolutely nothing. We'd save $800 billion. We have, I think we're 38th now in interest, and we should be number one. We should be the lowest. But, and by the way, if he's worried about inflation, that's okay. I understand that. I don't think there's going to be any. So far, there hasn't. I mean, we have almost no inflation. We've done a great job. When I came in, we had a lot of inflation. We went through 4 years of the highest inflation in the history of our country with Sleepy Joe Biden. And Sleepy Joe. And he didn't know what the hell he was doing. And so we had the highest inflation we've ever had in the history of our country. And then it came down because when I got elected, it started dropping because people understood that I knew what I was doing. But now we have a man that just refuses to lower the Fed rate, just refuses to do it. And he's not a smart person. I don't even think he's that political. I think he hates me, but that's okay. He should. He should. I call him every name in the book, trying to get him to do something. I've been nice to him. I do it always. I don't know how to sell. I've been so nice to him, fellas, you wouldn't believe. Let's have dinner. Too late. I'd call him too late. Come on, too late. Let's have dinner. I do it every way in the book. I'm nasty. I'm nice. Nothing works. He's like just a stupid person. But I don't expect anything. Maybe he does a little bit, but we should be 2.5 points. Remember, Europe had 10 cuts. We had none. We're paying more rate, more interest than
Tesla 324.
A lot of European nations that can't carry our suitcase. I'm going to be nice. There's another expression. You know what the other expression, can't carry your, you know what it is, but I shouldn't use it in front of the fake news. So it's very sad to see it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go very short term, like 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. Wait till this guy gets out, get the rates way down, and then go long term. Because we have a tremendous appetite for our debt because our country is doing well. But think of it, I got a call from Congress 3 nights ago. Sir, we can't account for the money coming in. I said, that's a good problem. The bad problem is we don't have any money. They can't account. There's so much more money than we thought is coming into the Treasury. We don't know where it's coming from, sir. I said, check out the tariffs. He calls back about a day later. Wow. I think you were right. Yeah, I was right. That's nothing. You haven't seen anything yet. More importantly than the money coming in, we have factories being built, AI, auto factories. 2 of them stopped yesterday in Mexico, you read, and they're coming here because they don't want to pay the tariffs. They can't pay the tariffs. It doesn't work. So I just want to wish you a lot of luck with the new flagpole. We have 2 of them, and we're going to do this one now. Then we're going to do the other one, 11 o'clock or so. We're going to have a flag raising, which would be great. And I got to get these guys back to work. They're making a fortune. They're standing around making a fortune. But remember this, somewhere in this group, there's somebody that is going to captivate some movie producer. Not Harvey Weinstein, but somebody else. Harvey's seen a better day. So it won't be Harvey, but it'll be somebody. And it'll say, that guy is perfect for a movie. And you're going to become a star, and your friends are going to call you, and you won't even return their phone call anymore, Because you say, what do you do for a living? I put up flagpoles. I'm not even going to talk to you. I'm a big movie star. So some way you have that. Anyway, let's have a good, they call it a lifting. They also use another word, but I'm not going to use that word. You know what that is? The word, it starts with an E. You know what the word is? If I ever used it, I'd be run out of town by you people. All right, so enjoy it. Duck, you're going to get some good. He's going to win another Nobel Prize, I think, for this picture. So maybe the flag will be even more exciting, but this is pretty exciting. That's some equipment, though.
Okay, so there's no update there on Iran, Israel. Trump's talking like it's a regular day at the White House, installing some new flagpoles. Let me see if he's taking any questions by reporters. He's still live right now, so let's see if we get to questions because we didn't get anything else from that. Robin right here, 75, Palantir 138, Tesla 323. Rest of the market relatively flattish. S&P is going green, up about 0.3. That was almost red, but everything else kind of just chilling out currently right now.
Come to the White House. It's a big difference. But they've suggested that they come to the White House. That's, courageous, but, it's like not easy for them to do. But they suggest, because I can't go now because of what's going on. I had to come back early from the G7, which was terrific, by the way, in Canada. Really terrific. Good people.
Is there a possibility of next week or sooner that you're
Okay, he's taking questions now.
Well, I don't know how much longer it's going to go on. I mean, they're totally defenseless. They have no air defense whatsoever. We've totally captured. We've totally captured the air, Brian.
Yeah, Mr. President, you've been fairly compassionate towards the Iranian people's suggestions.
I know a lot of people from Iran, from New York, from Washington, mostly from New York. They're incredible people. They're smart. They're energetic. They can be difficult, but so can you. No, they're great people. Smart people. And those people are getting the hell beat out of them now. And it's really a shame. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's another one. Russia, Ukraine is so stupid. Would have never happened if I was president. You guys agree with that, right? Would have never happened if I was president. Putin would have never done it. And I spoke to him yesterday, and I said, he actually offered to help mediate. I said, do me a favor. Mediate your own. Let's mediate Russia first, okay? I said, Vladimir, let's mediate Russia first. You can worry about this later. But I think that.
Okay, that's kind of wild. That's wild. He's saying, "Hey, Putin, solve your own problem with Ukraine first before you try to mediate this." That's pretty crazy.
That's going to work out too, but it's so many people have been killed. The big thing with that one is far more people are dead than have been reported in the Ukraine, Russia. Many, many more people. A building falls down, they say nobody was hurt. It's like ridiculous. Unconditional surrender. Two very simple words. Very simple. Unconditional surrender. That means I've had it. Okay, I've had it. I give up. No more. Then we go blow up all the all the nuclear stuff that's all over the place there. No, they had bad intentions. For 40 years they've been saying death to America, death to Israel, death to anybody else that they didn't like. They were bullies. They were schoolyard bullies. And now they're not bullies anymore, but we'll see what happens. Look, nothing's finished until it's finished. War is very complex. A lot of bad things can happen. A lot of turns are made. So I don't know. I wouldn't say that we won anything yet. I would say that we sure as hell made a lot of progress. And we'll see. The next week is going to be very big, maybe less than a week, maybe less. But is there anybody here that said it would be okay to have a hostile, very, zealots really, but to have a hostile country have a nuclear weapon that could destroy 25 miles, but much more than that, could destroy other nations just by the breeze blowing the dust. That dust blows to other nations and they get decimated. This is just not a threat you can have. And we've been threatened by Iran for many years. If you go back and look at my history, if you go back 15 years, I was saying we cannot let Iran get a nuclear weapon. I've been saying it for a long time. And I mean it more now than I ever meant it. Yeah.
Mr. President, a question on deportations, Mr. President. You said last week that changes would be coming for farmers who have seen a lot of the workers they rely on taken away. But then DHS said this week that worksite enforcement would remain in place, that it's a cornerstone. So what's your message to farmers?
We got to get the bad people out of here first, and we're doing that. We're taking them out by the thousands. Murderers, drug dealers, people that are mentally insane from insane asylums. What they gave to us, fellas, they gave. Do we have anybody?
All right, so he's talking about immigration there. So the core quotes from the Iran stuff, which is the main thing we were looking for, is Iran is defenseless. They have no air defense whatsoever. Iran reached out. I said it's too late. Putin asked if I needed help mediating the conflict. I told him to focus on his own issues with Ukraine. And then finally, we've been threatened by Iran. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. And then all the stuff he said about Powell being too late is the stuff we've heard for a while already. So 324 right here on Tessie, up 2.5%. Again, market's not really reacting in any aggressive way. I guess all eyes are on FOMC, but in terms of what he said, he's standing in front of the White House. You know, there's a major geopolitical escalation going on. He's not really acting as if things are that intense. At least the tone of how he was speaking about it was kind of just like, hey, it is what it is. They're going to fight it out and we're going to do what we need to do. Which kind of, to me, given how relaxed he is, given the fact that he even did a public appearance like this in the midst of everything going on, I would guess, my intuition is, Iran is not going to follow through on these massive surprise attacks. They're going to be so, horrible to Israel that they've been promising for the past 24 hours. Because if they were, Circle, by the way, 160, you'd imagine he'd be in the Situation Room for 12 hours today trying to figure out and get more intel on how to thwart the attacks or find some way to intercept them. But if they have intel that says Iran's probably not going to be as aggressive as they've been promising, then you could do a media appearance in front of the White House for 30 minutes, It just doesn't feel as aggressive as maybe we thought it was going to be yesterday. TMDX down 6%. I don't know why that one's down. This one's had a nice recovery from 70. Or it actually fell to 50 at one point, right? Yeah, dude, look at that. This thing fell in March to 64, got to 128. So down 5%. I don't think you can be too upset about that. Now, this is a organ transplant company. It's not many companies do what they do in regards to delivering and transplanting organs. They're more an organ delivery company. They don't actually do the transplants, but they deliver organs from one place to another. Small cap, a lot of good growth. That stock fell like 50% last year, but has recovered a decent amount this year as well. Fell from a short report. They've had a lot of short reports, though, dude. TMDX has been subject to like tons of short reports. It hasn't really necessarily taken them down. They actually got an upgrade from Oppenheimer to 130. So even with the short report, they did get an upgrade as well. Trump says Apple's going to buy a lot of Trump gold cards. Okay, do you guys remember the Trump gold card? The $5 million card you can pay. I think it's 5 million, right? It's 5 million you can pay to get access to the United States for this is what it looks like, by the way. This is legit what it looks like. It's a 5 million card you can get access to get a streamlined immigration into the United States. He says Apple is going to buy a lot of gold cards. Okay, I don't know why. Let's go back to him. Let's see what he's saying right here. But that's weird. Why would he say Apple?
But most importantly, we have to get the criminals out of our country. And Biden let in $5 million. This is usually... Go ahead. Are you okay?
I'm just going to follow up on the immigration real quickly. Yeah. Can you comment on the impact of the Trump card?
Okay, here we go. Trump card.
Yeah, we have a thing called the Trump card. This has not been done before or thought of. And for $5 million, this is usually people that would either be working for companies like Apple, I think is going to buy a lot of them, because they can't get people into the country. If you come in through the southern border, you have no problem. You can be a criminal, you can be a drug dealer, and you have no problem. But if you go and graduate number one in your class from a great school, you can't get a job because...
So Apple's going to pay $5 million for engineers from other countries to work in the States and become citizens? I don't know, bro. I don't know if they're going to spend that much money for some engineers. And I mean, maybe for like the best of the best, but he says Apple's going to buy a lot of them. Really? Apple's going to buy 50 million, 100 million worth of cards for these engineers? I don't know. It's a little hard to believe, at least intuitively, that would take place.
There's no access to getting it. You can't get a green card. So we're going to sell that to people, in some cases wealthy, in some cases not wealthy. They'll be paid for by universities. Look at Harvard. They got $53 billion. That whole thing is coming to an end. It's amazing what we found out. What a disgrace. They have $53 billion. We gave them 5, 6, and some people say it's as much as $9 billion over a short period of time. So that's very much coming to it. They want to make a deal more than I would.
If he meant people working for Apple will buy it, And those are some pretty rich engineers that have $5 million that can get to the United States. Number two, yes, Apple can afford it 100%, but there's a lot of talent already in the United States that they wouldn't have to pay for to get them to be a citizen just to be able to get access to that talent. I mean, they could poach the OpenAI engineers for millions of dollars versus paying $5 million for someone internationally. I don't know. I mean, maybe theoretically, I mean, like I could see Apple paying that much money. I could see a lot of tech companies potentially engaging in this, but I don't know if intuitively it makes that much sense. However, one of the reasons he might be saying Apple right here is because maybe Tim Cook said, hey, I'm not going to start making the iPhone in the United States, but I will buy a ton of these gold cards. And maybe that's Tim Cook's way of paying a $500 million parking ticket and buying a bunch of these cards, keeping Trump happy, but getting rid of the tariffs in China. Maybe that's why he's saying Apple, which actually is a little bit more believable, in my opinion.
I would say Harvard wants to make a deal more than Iran wants to make a deal, and Iran wants to make a deal. I mean, a lot of things are happening on a lot of fronts, Brian. A lot of good things are happening. And frankly, you know, it's a little bit of a, as we used to say, liberal. Now they say progressive. I use the word liberal. Progressive's too nice a word because they're destroying the country. They're really destroying these liberal politicians are destroying our country. Look what they've done during Biden's 4 years. I mean, we're working on, so much of our effort goes to getting people out of the country that should have never been here in the first place. What he's done to this country, it's not him. He had no idea what was going on. Everybody knows that. It's other people. It's Lisa and this one and that, all these people, all this scum that was around the Oval, the Oval Office or around the beautiful Resolute desk telling this guy, here, do this, do that, and not even telling him. They just go over to the auto pen and sign whatever the hell they wanted to sign. Because say what you want about Biden. He wasn't for open borders. He wasn't for transgender for everybody. He wasn't for men playing in women's sports. But he has no idea what the hell. He has no idea. And they were very upset. They wanted Bernie Sanders. And after about a week of this guy, they said, wait a minute, we just hit gold. This guy has no clue. He'll do anything we tell him. And then they realized they don't even have to get permission. They just go up to the auto pen. That's a subversion. That's a takeover of our government. And you people ought to start looking at it. That's a takeover. Not only did they cheat, I guess you saw yesterday came out.
With the Pakistani Army Chief of Staff. What are you looking forward to achieving diplomatically?
Well, I stopped a war between Pakistan. I love Pakistan. I think Modi is a fantastic man. I spoke to him last night. We're going to make a trade deal with Modi of India. But I stopped the war between Pakistan and India. This man was extremely influential in stopping it from the Pakistan side, Modi from the India side, and others. And they were going at it, and they're both nuclear countries. I got it stopped. I don't think I had one story. Did I have one story written about it? I stopped a war between two major nations, major nuclear nations. I don't think I had a story written about it, but that's okay. You know why? The people know. The people know. Did anybody write that story about the war? Did you write it? Oh, did you write it? You wrote it.
He's willing to ask you. He's willing to ask you to get more
adjustments that need to be made for Marine One departures and arrivals.
No, we put it so that Marine One is very far away. We did it in conjunction with the Air Force, with everybody, and everybody signed off on it. Now we have to have it far away. It's very far from Marine One's out there, it's out in the field. So you have to have a certain distance. We're about 3 times that distance. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
Can you hear what you told Prime Minister Netanyahu?
All right, there you go. S&P back above 6,000. Back above 6,000. So again, the takeaway we got from there is that they don't want to really negotiate with Iran anymore. They're ready to, get aggressive from a military perspective. We're going to see how aggressive they get. He blamed Powell as always, and then he said Iran simply can't have a nuclear weapon. Again, on the gold card thing, the first assumption I go to right here is that it would be so easy for Tim Cook to say, hey, we will buy 100 gold cards. We will spend $500 million. We will treat it as an expense for our employees. let's say they do get some amazing engineers from another part of the world to become citizens of the United States. And that $500 million will look so good. Imagine if Trump can say, we've collected $500 million already in revenue on the gold card, this imaginary source of revenue that came out of nowhere. Apple ends up paying the bill. And now, Trump says, hey, we don't really need Apple to make their iPhones in Texas because they're paying us a ton of money already in a different way. It's an easy tax write-off for Apple. I mean, I don't know if Apple would actually want to spend that much money on something like this, especially because Apple's, not even really thriving in AI. So the question is just even if you get those people, what exactly you're going to do with them? There's a lot of people already in the United States that could poach with that money. So I don't know if this is the money, this is the reason to spend that money, but it's definitely a hell of a reason to convince Trump to get off their back when it comes to manufacturing in the States and getting mad when they go to India and just say, hey, we'll give you $1 billion. We'll give you $500 million for these gold cards. And Tim Cook for Tim Cook, it's easy. He can virtue signal about immigration and how amazing it is to have all this different talent coming across the world, yada, yada. And he can easily get the moral high ground here. And then Trump gets to say, look, we just collected $1 billion that came out of thin air, and that can go down to pay the debt. So I feel like that's not crazy. Chris says you get a work visa if the U.S. In the U.S. if a company hires you. Why would the company buy gold cards? Yeah, that's another point, right? Once you get a work visa, like my cousin, she has a work visa from India, and she's working in California. So now there is a lottery system towards that, right? So I guess the gold card would just bypass that entire lottery system, and for $5 million you get immediate access to a path to citizenship, which would be the benefit. But nonetheless, the work visa kind of gets that job done to an extent. Nvidia, are we at 145? We are 10 cents away. No, we did hit 145. We did hit it today. Okay, so we probably hit it when Trump was talking. 145.15. Let me see if there's any more resistance there, or if we're going to 146. 144.87. It's kind of been stuck in that range. Yeah, 145, no resistance. 146 on Nvidia. It's 178,000 shares. 178,000 shares. ASTS, great day for ASTS, up 7%. Wow, 43.23. There you go. All-time highs. All-time highs for the Space Mob. There you go. There you go. ASTS, 43.36. Is the $5 million for the Visa refundable, or is it a fee? I think it's a fee. I think it's a fixed amount you pay. We don't have a ton of details on it, but I doubt it's refundable. I think once you pay it, you're not guaranteed citizenship, but you're guaranteed a path to getting to citizenship as long as you pass all the background checks and all that stuff. And yeah, you're basically paying to enter into the country. Ruschel says if they are really that talented to spend $5 million on them, then they can get an O1 visa and then apply for an EB1 green card, which would almost be the same speed as a gold card. That's a good point. Which is why as soon as he said Apple's going to buy them, I was like, why? What exactly? Why would that necessarily make sense? But the Tim Cook angle makes way more sense. Just getting tariffs off of the media attention on Apple and getting Trump to. I mean, that's what he did in 2017. That's why they started making the Mac Pros in Austin. They got Trump. Trump visited the factories back in 2017. They did an entire tour, all that stuff, to get him to think that American manufacturing is coming back. Where's Rocket Lab? Rocket Lab right here was at 2750. Rocket Lab, 2755, up 4.3. So Rocket Lab's getting some love. Verizon's 4187. Let's look at the mid-year 2025 cheap stocks. Grab is flat on the day, or Grab's actually down 1%, 475. United Health's actually up a little bit. Google 176. SoFi 1483. SoFi, I will check resistance. Nvidia, by the way, back to 145. SoFi, let me see. What's the 15 resistance? PayPal's up a little bit on the day. Nike's up a little bit. I don't know why Nike was down 3% yesterday, but it was down maybe because of retail sales. SoFi 15, 53,000 shares. Oscar up 6%. AMD up 1.3. Pfizer down a little bit. And then Target up about 0.5% right now. There you go. You got the markets going relatively green. Relatively green. All right, so our boy Dougie in the chat just texted me. He is betting on he's betting on the rate cut decision. So on Robinhood right now, if you go to the betting markets, it costs 3 cents to buy a yes contract that he's going to cut. This is so degen, Doug. You know we're not getting a cut. It's no change is 97 cents. A change is 3 cents. I think Doug just bought $400 worth of this. You can't see the zoom too well, but basically $400 can turn into $10,000 if J-Pow cuts rates. How many did you buy, Doug? About 100 of these? 50 of these? Goodness, dude. well, if we get a rate cut, Doug's going to make some money today. I don't think we're going to get a rate cut. So yeah, 3% chance, 3 cents for 25 bips, 97 cents for no change. And then 1 cent for a hike. Maybe we get a little bit of a hike. He bought 1,000 at 2 cents. All right. Well, definitely pure degen, but if it works, it'll make you quite a bit of money today. You can watch it live today. I'll be live at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, and we'll see everything live with J-Pow. Bitcoin right here, 105, back above 104.7, now at 105. Look at Josh. He's buying them as well. He bought 2,000 at 2 cents. Dude, imagine we get a cut. Could you imagine? I mean, I would have to change my name to John Lennon based on the amount of imagination that it would take to actually get that type of a rate cut. I mean, if we actually get a rate cut, bro, a straight up rate cut to the tune of 25 bips, it would be crazy. It would be crazy. Amid saying Bips again, mid-level Amazon manager vibe. Dude, Bips is definitely like, you feel like you're like some corporate boss when you say Bips. Or if you spell it out and you say basis points. I don't think I say that. I usually say Bips. But if I were to say 25 basis points, it's like you feel like you're so special with some of these intellectual terms in regards to investing. Okay, put in the chat. What is your favorite corporate terminology? It could be a phrase, a sentence, or a word that you use in your emails or whatever that makes you feel like an adult or like a sophisticated corporate employee. I know one of those in emails is what's the one in the email that everyone knows about? I'm forgetting about it. So one of you guys are going to say it in the chat. But it's okay, so one of them, this is not the one I'm thinking about, but one of them is circling back with a comma. Circling back, so just to circle back on this, right? Oh yeah, as per my last, yeah. Whenever someone says as per whatever, actionable items, 100%. Yes, let's circle back. That's what I was thinking of. Actionable items, yeah. Whenever I say derivatives instead of options, I feel like I'm a freaking hedge fund manager. By the way, you know that hedge fund manager and I that had beef on Twitter? Apparently he had beef with Vlad too. I saw them go back and forth the other day. I'm going to show you guys in a second, but even Vlad got tired of this guy. Vlad was like, who is this guy, bro? Who is this freaking guy? Regards, that's fair. Creating shareholder value, synergy, alignment, circling back, see, all the best, comma, with your name. Yup, 100%. Paul says, I actually use bips and basis points all the time because I'm a mortgage broker. Well, there you go. Now we know you're an official mortgage broker. Touch base, dude, 1,000%. We'll touch base on this in the future per my previous email. Dude, so many of these. I'm not in corporate America, but I've, had to engage in, messaging certain people and emails and stuff just for different things that I've been doing all year. And when you see their email and you read what it sounds like, it's like, dude, this is like a corporate email. I can't just respond all right, cool, I'm good to go. I have to actually structure hello, Melissa. Thank you for the information. I will be blah, blah. Yeah, and then you have to sincerely comment, dude, you have to type in some sophisticated way. When in reality, you just want to be all right, cool, good to go. In conjunction with 100% touch point. Everybody see my screen. That's a fact. Can everybody see my screen? Hope this finds you well. You don't care if this finds you well. You don't care if that person is sick. You don't care if that person is struggling. You don't care if it finds you well. You just need them to respond to it. Hope this finds you well. Goodness gracious. just dropping a quick line, following up, all of these things, dude. All of these things. Yeah, ChatGPT can really write them correctly. I mean, let's do a little game right here. I am messaging my boss about a project they haven't followed up on. Draft me a corporate appropriate email in 3 sentences. Let's see what Grok says. Let's see what Grok says. Look at this. I hope this message finds you well. Dear boss, I hope this message finds you well. I want to kindly follow up. You just said, I hope the message finds you well. Why do you need to kindly follow up? I want to kindly follow up on the project we discussed previously, as I haven't received any updates since our last conversation. Please let me know if there's anything specific you'd like me to prepare or address. Best regards. Goodness gracious, bro. Best regards. Please kindly follow up. I hope this message finds you well. I mean, in reality, you just want to tell your boss, hey, dipshit, can you respond to my shit? I'm only here to get the health benefits anyway. Like, goodness, why are you making my life so freaking difficult? That's what everyone really wants to say. But you know, this is how you have to act. Just wanted to ping you again. Dude, that word ping is all that, like, instead of people saying message, they say ping. It's like that one is so prevalent in corporate America as well. So there you go. That's corporate life for everybody. Anyway, where's the Vlad thing? So let me show you guys this Vlad beef, bro. I saw this the other day and I was like, damn, even Vlad's getting tired of this guy, bro. Look at this. Look at this shit. So let me see if I can pull this up right here. It was he posted something about Robinhood that was like, so yeah, this is it. Okay, so this is what he posted. This Ben guy, right? He posted a Robinhood thing from like 2015, right? Which just describes like the options chain. And Vlad was like, this screenshot is over 5 years old. It looks totally different now. And then he's like, so you're telling me there's a chance? And then Vlad responded again to this. Someone said, I'd like to know where to find the time capsule these folks live in. And Vlad was like, I'm surprised he hasn't bought up the confetti. Even Vlad was like, really? You're talking about stuff from 10 years ago to try to say that Robinhood's like a meme trading app? And it's just like, I think that hedge fund guy has some issues, bro. Like, I think he's genuinely unhappy in life or something. And I love how he has anti-fascist in his bio and then he blocks me, because the most anti-fascist thing you can do is stop discourse. That's a beautiful display of anti-fascism, to stop someone from talking. That is phenomenal. That's a great way to be an anti-fascist. I mean, it's just goodness gracious, bro. So you can even tell Vlad was annoyed with this guy as well. Amit sure knows the corporate lingo well, even though he never went corporate. So I never went corporate, but I did have consulting clients with my firm, my consulting firm. It sounds fancier than it is, but like I had private clients for like the past basically 10 years in regards to public speaking and debate. And, you had to communicate with them in a certain type of way. And that kind of taught me how to speak fluently in corporate. But it is pretty annoying because no one actually believes anything they say. NVIDIA right here, 145.26. That's up 1%. Tessie just below 324. Palantir 138. And then Robinhood 75.35. Let's get some macro updates. Let's see what else is going on. Again, Jay Powell at 2 p.m. or 2:30. I'll be live at like 2:20. We'll see what he has to say. We got a bunch of Trump quotes, and then we'll keep going from there. Oh, we got some stablecoin updates. We did get the Senate passing the Stablecoin Act yesterday. This is a big deal for Circle and definitely a big deal for treasuries as well, because a lot of these stablecoins will have to buy our treasuries.
It allows private companies to issue their own digital dollars with the government's blessing, but only under strict guardrails, full reserve backing, monthly audits, and robust anti-money laundering checks. Now, lawmakers say it protects consumers while reinforcing the dominance of the U.S. dollar. The bill now moves to the House, which has its own version dubbed the Stable Act. Both bills ban yield-bearing consumer stablecoins, but they diverge on who gets to regulate them. Now, reconciling the two could take months, especially as House Republicans weigh attaching a broader market structure package. Meanwhile, Wall Street and big tech are already making moves. You've got Amazon and Walmart reportedly looking at stablecoin style payments, and JP Morgan saying that it plans to roll out a deposit token called JPMD. While not technically a stablecoin, it offers similar features for institutions, including 24/7 settlement and interest, all within the traditional banking system. Guys?
What's the difference between the Genius Act and the Stable Act, which has also been in the House? And I don't know, they might have to reconcile those two.
One of the big things comes down to authority. So Treasury gets a lot of broad authority over the stablecoin market with the Genius Act. And so we've got Scott Bessent weighing in last week saying that if this goes through within the next few years, the stablecoin market's going to nearly 8x up to $2 trillion. And then on the other side, the House kind of spreads out that authority among the OC.
ASTS 20 cents away from 44. There's only 10,000 shares. There's only 10,000 shares waiting for ASTS to break another new all-time high at 44.
SEC, the Fed, and other regulators. There are also different specifics, different nuances within what foreign issuers are able to do, which is really crucial because Tether, of course, foreign issuer of a US dollar peg stablecoin, accounts for more than 60% of this market.
Okay, well, let's see how it progresses in the House next. Mackenzie, thank you for the rundown. Time now for a CNBC News update. Silvana now has it for us. Morning, Silvana.
Hey, Sarah.
Okay, cool. So ASTS, again, trying to go for 44. I got to 43.98. Was not able to get above that brink, but if the momentum's there, there's not a wall stopping it. There's not an aggressive wall stopping it to get above that. ASTS, big day, dude. Big. I think there was an update last night too on ASTS. I mean, we know about the update that happened last Friday, but I think there was something that was announced today. That is getting, yeah, here we go. ASTS becomes the first direct-to-device provider to enter the Indian market by partnering with Vodafone India to provide cellular broadband connectivity to its 212 million wireless subs. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. That's enough. India, baby. ASTS bringing some more broadband connectivity to the country. Yeah, I mean, that'll do it. That'll do it. That's enough. That's enough to get the market excited. 212 million wireless subs getting more access. It says we are not just expanding coverage, we are breaking down barriers to connectivity, enabling everyday smartphones to access 4G and 5G directly from space. Together with Vodafone, we are excited to unlock new possibilities for emergency response, disaster management, agriculture, remote learning, and countless other applications that will benefit from truly ubiquitous mobile broadband. Dude, it's a pretty easy company to understand. They get people access to connectivity. That's it. And if they can keep executing at a sophisticated level. Now, Chris does think the upside is a bit limited because of the run that it's had from like 25. So this is another situation where it has to grow into the valuation. But I mean, a lot of the ASTS bulls feels that it's still pretty undervalued. And the growth is only just beginning for this one as well. So that's why that is up about 9%. I guess I don't know why Rocket Lab's up, but Rocket Lab kind of pumping with it. 5.3. I do have 2,000 shares of Rocket Lab. I don't have any ASTS. I don't know if 43 all-time high is the right price to buy that stock. This is why even I wouldn't mind a 5% dip across the market. Like we would get some juicy prices. Like I wouldn't mind getting Meta at 650 and just saying, screw it, I'm going to establish a position. Or Broadcom at like 220, you know, Broadcom's right here at 255. Like we get some of these names that really get, but see, this is what I mean. The hedgies are waiting for a 5 to 10% dip because they missed everything in March and April. So they're like salivating for some type of a dip. And when everyone's waiting for a dip, it's hard to get the dip. It's just hard. Like if Palantir goes to 120, there's gonna be a lot of people that take advantage of that, regardless of how you think about valuation concerns, because that is going to be a decent decline from 140. And so I think if everyone's waiting for it, it might not be that easy to come. NVIDIA right here, 145.38. NVIDIA resistance at 146 is 178,000 shares. But it is breaking above 145. Rocket Lab posted an update about the Neutron launchpad. Okay, cool. There you go. I guess that's why it's up 5%. I'll try to pull up that update in a second off their Twitter. Here's another chart that I want to show you guys. This I saw yesterday, which was quite interesting. By the way, they're doing another launch on June 20th, Rocket Lab. Yeah, they're doing another launch on June 20th. It looks like they're doing another one. Okay, cool. So take a look at this chart. There are 2,400 publicly traded companies on the U.S. stock exchange with over $1 billion in market cap. These are the top 10 companies that have outperformed that are at least $1 billion in market cap. This list is wild. It's a YouTube video. Okay, cool. So we'll pull up the YouTube video. RGC, which is the biotech company, Oklo, D-Wave, shout out to Skrelly. More importantly, shout out to Quantess in the chat. Sezzle, Rigetti, Qubit, Microvast, Avia, Power Solutions International, and Porch Group. These are your top 10 billion-dollar companies, minimum of $1 billion market cap in the S&P, not in the S&P 500, but in publicly listed across the market. That's kind of crazy, right? That these are the top 10 names, but these are the top 10. And it goes to show you the risk appetite of this market. It's not NVIDIA. It's not Amazon. It's not Tesla. Technically, this makes sense, right? Tesla, NVIDIA, Amazon, they're just too big to outperform. They can't go from 1 billion to 2 billion because they're trillion-dollar companies. But still, risk appetite in the public markets is pretty vast, and you've had a lot of people make a lot of money on a variety of these different names. Yeah, TMC pumping today as well. That one's been doing good. Is ABCL up today? I'm going to work on getting a deep dive on this as well. Yeah, that's up 10%. Dude, we still have $7 trillion on the sidelines and we haven't cut rates. I mean, when money actually starts flowing into the market from the sidelines, from money market funds, from savings accounts, from high yielding APYs that there's, there's 30 billion in cash on Robinhood right now that hasn't been invested. That's getting a 4% APY. Like when that money starts coming into the market and you get lower rates, I mean, there really could be a lot of momentum over the next at least 6 months in terms of more money coming in. And you're seeing it, I think, with people diversifying into some of the more speculative names like an ABCL because they want to get more risk exposure. NVIDIA right here, 145.60 is still trying to get to 146. And then Hoodie 75 is Nebus pumping. Nebius, yep, that's up 4%. Okay, that'll help my ETF. That'll be good. Yeah, exactly. High rates are keeping money on the sidelines. Well, that's the thing. Once we get rate cuts, it's not just like the equity risk premium on DCF models goes down because the risk-free rate of return goes down, but it's conducive to growth stocks, right? So every valuation model has to factor in that you're going to get a better return taking a risk versus getting a better return not taking a risk, because rates will come down. But number two is that, like, if you're in a money market fund getting 4% and that goes down to, let's say, 3.5% by the end of the year, you just got to ask yourself a question. If inflation's 2%, you're getting 3.5%, you're netting 1.5%. Like, if Meta's up 40% or 20%, if Meta's up even 15%, why are you not in Meta? Why are you in a money market fund? Now, granted, you're taking a risk with Meta, but then that begs the qualitative question of, are you taking a risk with Meta? It's Meta, right? Like, you look at their earnings, like, is it really that risky? So it's going to get a lot of money to just question what they're doing on the sidelines. Not to mention this, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but and I wonder what this is the most important thing that JPEG is going to have to talk about today. Supplementary leverage ratios. Essentially, how much can the banks hold on their balance sheet when it comes to treasuries? We need more demand for treasuries. If the regulators increase those SLRs, then more banks will be able to have treasuries on their balance sheets. The Bank of America, JP Morgan, et cetera. Basent has been talking about this for a while. The Fed said they're going to talk about this next Wednesday. I would imagine they preview a little bit of that conversation today. If that becomes something meaningful over the summer, you're going to get JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citibank, Wells Fargo, all these guys probably buying a minimum of 30 to 40 billion of treasuries each, which is going to create a lot of demand, will be great for yields, decent for stocks as well, great for mortgage rates. Like, there can be a lot of good ways, definitely important for refinancing our debt. And maybe J-Powell uses that as a reason to cut rates as well. But that could be the biggest thing that J-Powell talks about today at the FOMC. Oklo is flat on the day. Quantum QBTS up about 3%, $16. S&P back above 6,000, up 0.55% right now. There you go. Sideline money would have beat the S&P 500 if they bought in the lows and select stocks. Yeah, dude. I mean, all that money on the sidelines, which, again, to retail's credit, was deployed to a large extent, about 80 billion bucks in March and April. But a lot of that money, if you bought anything besides Apple and SoFi, but no, even SoFi was like $8. Even Apple got to like 167. Yeah, literally, you could have bought anything April 8th through April 12th, and you would be destroying the S&P right now. Circle up 10%. So I don't know. It's just hard to keep that money on the side if earnings growth continues the way it is. NVTS is pumping today. Navitas, NVTS. Yeah, it's up about 4%. That one has been a little dicey over the past couple of weeks, but it had a really good month. So that one, APLD, et cetera, even if they're chilling out a little bit, this is just healthy for them to relax. APLD down about 2.5% right now on the day. What else do we add? Anything going to save Applied Digital from getting back to 7? I don't know enough about their CoreWeave deal. I know it's like an important deal, and it's like more than their market cap. But the Applied Digital bulls will tell you that it's like, worth the stock going to 20, 25 bucks, which maybe it is. But ultimately, that momentum has to continue for it to, stay at these levels. Let's look at some AI stuff. So this is the head of research at OpenAI. He used to work at Anduril. Bob McGrew. I think he also, he used to work at Palantir as well. Here's an argument he made on a podcast yesterday on why proprietary data doesn't really matter anymore when it comes to building out AI models.
Yeah. So, a starting point for this is a few years ago, there was a lot of interest in training industry vertical specific models. That finance companies would say, we've got all of this data that no one else has, and we're going to train a finance model on top of GPTs or on top of Llama, and it's going to be so much better. And actually, all of those were worse than the next generation of GPT, because the power of intelligence and the ability to synthesize new information was bigger than the power of sort of memorizing the old information that you have. So that's I think what this theme looked like a couple of years ago. But fast forward a year or 2 years. Now the story is I have all of this proprietary data. I've accumulated it over years. And in some sense, for a lot of times, if that data is teaching the model a skill, or if it's meant to teach the model a skill, that data is sort of embodied labor, right? Someone worked through all these case studies. Someone called all of these customers and found out all of this information. Well, that embodied labor is now free. AI can do all those things. And so now there's an opportunity. You can have AI call all those customers, do a big survey, find out what they know. You can have AI work through all the case studies, just a lot of chats with O3, right? And then now you've replicated that proprietary data, but without needing all of.
So the reason I think that's really important is because it goes to show Meta and Google having YouTube, Meta having Facebook, Instagram, Threads, although it helps them build out their models with all that data, it doesn't necessarily mean that a company like OpenAI or Claude or some of these other foundation models don't have the ability to build more and more data, because they can just replicate it in and of themselves. Like Claude can run thousands and thousands of different coding prompts against itself to replicate that data. Now, maybe the data is not as high quality, but nonetheless, the data is important. And, piggybacking off of that, Sam Altman thinks because AI is getting so good and we don't need the proprietary data just to have an advantage, we can achieve super intelligence pretty soon.
Every year before the last, maybe up until last year, I would have said hey, I think this is going to go really far, but it still seems like there's a lot that we've got to figure out. I feel very confident at this point, the most confident I've ever felt, that we kind of know what to do to get to incredible AI systems that are just super, super capable. If something goes wrong, I would say somehow it's that we build legitimate super intelligence and it doesn't make the world much better. It doesn't change things as much as it sounds like it should.
How would that happen?
Seems like a crazy thing to say.
Yeah.
But I don't know, if I told you in 2020, maybe I did tell you, we're going to make something like ChatGPT and it's going to be as smart as a PhD student in most areas, and we're going to deploy it, and a significant fraction of the world is going to use it and kind of use it a lot. Maybe you would have believed that, maybe you wouldn't have, but conditioned on that, I bet you would say, okay, if that happens, the world looks way more different than it does right now.
Yeah.
So it's we have this crazy thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's this thing where it's the Turing test, everybody thought,
it just went by.
Yeah, nobody really cared. And Yeah, I don't know what explains that.
Or the fact that you can like have this thing do this amazing stuff for you, and you kind of live your life the same way you did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Kind of work the same way you did 2 years ago.
Do you think that's possible, that we have like crazy super intelligence that's like 400 IQ and that's still the case?
I totally think that's possible.
It's pretty remarkable, dude. It's pretty remarkable. By the way, Oscar Health right here up 9%. And like, it's not to say that proprietary data doesn't matter, because obviously Google having access to billions of videos and transcripts, et cetera, that's important. It's rather just saying it's not the only thing that's going to make your model better. Like, just because you're a finance firm and you have decades of corporate documents that it can help get the model to be smart in terms of understanding your firm's investment philosophy and the way you research companies, doesn't mean that AI is not getting fast enough to replicate that data or be even better than that proprietary data in terms of finding different nuances towards how that data is framed to be able to make a competing model. Which then just begs the question, what is the moat of any of the models? Well, one could argue there is no moat, that they're all commoditized. But the moat ends up becoming user experience, first mover advantage, and then ultimately which one, in my opinion, this is kind of like the defining moat of this decade that's going to exist on which model you use, the agents inside of the models that can actually take tasks. So if GPT has an agent that can book a flight for you or schedule your meetings, yada, yada, and Gemini can't do that, which theoretically Gemini should be able to do that because it has access to your calendar, Gmail, all that stuff, which then makes the proprietary data a lot more important. Then I think people use Gemini more because they want to use an agent, an LLM that actually does something for them. But the first one to figure that out, I think, is going to get a lot more users or a lot more usage. And right now, none of them are close to making that happen. Not Grok, not Meta, not Gemini, definitely not GPT, absolutely not Apple with Siri. But whoever gets there first, I think, is definitely going to get some momentum. Palantir right here, 138, Robinhood 75.25, Tessie 322, and then Nvidia getting rejected at 145.50, right back to 145.09 currently right now. Yeah, right now AI is just advanced autocomplete, 100%. But like, we know this is, I mean, that's why it was so interesting. Sam said the worst it can get is that it's not going to be as transformative. So that's the worst. His argument is the worst case scenario is that it doesn't make that much of a difference in our lives. The best case scenario is that it changes everything. Which obviously would be, very important. Now maybe he's not really telling the truth there, because the worst case scenario could be that, like, the singularity and AI wants to. Oh, did you guys watch the movie Companion? I watched it over the weekend. Have you guys seen that? Companion's about this robot who falls in love with a guy, and the guy bought her, like, because she's a robot, and he programmed her to think that she doesn't know that she's a robot, aka she thinks it's a real love story, but then she finds out she's a robot, and then the movie goes the way it goes. So that, I think, is the worst case scenario, right? The sort of Terminator kind of like, hey, the girlfriend you bought, which is a robot, finds out that you bought her and that you can control her. She catches feelings for you, like, she falls in love with you. And then she finds out you don't actually care about her because she's a robot. And then maybe she's not that happy about that. Maybe she's not that happy about that. I feel like that is the actual worst case scenario. You saw it in the theater? Yeah, I saw it on HBO Max over the weekend. I thought it was a decent movie. I thought I wouldn't like it, but like, I actually watched it. And you guys know me, I don't really watch movies. So no, I really did watch it, bro. I really did watch it. I can actually tell you about the whole, I don't want to spoil it, but I legit watched it. So it was like, I had my phone with me, right? I was on Twitter at the time, but like, I still watched it. It's not like I was staring at it for an hour and a half, but like, I was paying attention. Like, I can tell you about the plot. I can't tell you too much about Goodfellas. I don't know what the hell happened in that movie. Or The Godfather. Dude, I need to watch that movie. Should have watched it on the airplane, but I ended up scrolling Instagram instead. But I thought it was a good movie, and I guess I was interested in it because it had the AI angle towards it. So that, I think, is the worst case scenario. But if we avoid that from happening, then maybe it really is something more transformative. It did make you think, though. It like the takeaway here was that, we joke about the sex bots and stuff like that, but like, it really did make you think after you watch it. I encourage people to watch it because like, it just gives you a new frame on what the world could look like if the robots get good enough to the point where they look and feel like humans. why wouldn't people buy them to have a relationship with? I mean, I showed you guys that picture the other day of a dude who was texting ChatGPT as if it was his girlfriend. Like, I mean, I feel like there's a world where a lot of people take advantage of using a robot in that way. I mean, that would be one of the biggest use cases I can imagine. Companionship, even if it's not just romantic, but some level of companionship. Like people, people buy pets to have companions. Like, you tell me if a robot with an intelligent brain could think and talk to you and look like a real human, people wouldn't be interested in that. I think it would. And so the question then becomes, what does that mean for humanity? Because I don't know if that's the most positive. Like, I'm sure for elderly people to help them use the bathroom, that's very positive. But if you're talking about a population crisis we're already having in terms of birth rates declining, it doesn't feel like it would be the best thing in the world. So that, along with the Anthropic CEO and what he's been saying about AI jobs that are going to be replaced, I mean, those are some deep philosophical questions that, I think we're going to have to try to figure out over the long term. And then Amazon basically saying, hey, we're not going to be hiring as many people over the next 5 years. He said the rollout of AI and agents will reduce the total workforce. Now, even if that's by a small percentage, this is what the Anthropic CEO has been saying for a while. Okay, I did not spoil the movie. The plot of the movie is that, I did not spoil anything. I didn't even say anything that happened in the movie. The plot of the movie is that he's dating a robot. Literally, if you look at the cover of the movie, the thumbnail of the movie, you can see she's a robot. So that's not spoiling it. I didn't say what happens in the movie, but yeah, it's like the dude's dating a robot, and it's a pretty exciting movie once she realizes that she's a robot. I did not spoil it. Like, the whole point, obviously she knows, obviously the conflict in the movie is that she's a robot, he's not, and she finds out that she's a robot. That's the only purpose of even watching the movie. But it's a good one. I really do think it's a good one. It's not bad. It's called Companion. It's called Companion. I didn't even say the ending, bro. I didn't spoil the ending. You guys have no idea what happens at the ending. You guys are just trolling me now. You guys are doing a meta lick on me, though. Dude, those songs really weren't that good, bro. I don't know why you guys... I didn't listen to the Puppet one yet, but I was in the car last night, and the guitar solo on Enter Sandman was kind of decent, but Nothing Else Matters, Enter Sandman, I didn't really... I don't know. Maybe I'm not a heavy metal guy, bro. Maybe that's the issue. I'm more hip hop. So I guess that's why it's harder. Dude, I don't care if you guys are mad at me. I didn't really enjoy it as much. Circle, by the way, up 11%, because why not? Why freaking not? In a world of squares, you might as well be a circle. Why not? I mean, stable coins buy treasuries pay interest, very circular business model. Okay, why not Circle going up another 12%, 167.50, all-time highs? Why freaking not? Why not? I've listened to Linkin Park before. I like Linkin Park. There's some songs there that I like. Riley says, I just bought some more Grab. Look, I like it. I think it's de-risked. I don't think it's back at 480 right here. I really don't think Grab's going back below $4. I think we're probably headed towards 550, hopefully by the end of the summer, and then 7 by the end of the year. Now, granted, I could be wrong. Maybe someone sold those 41 million shares yesterday instead of bought them, but this one I think is just becoming a bit more obvious, at least from my perspective. S&P 500 right here, 600.5. That's up 0.5%. Meta's at 700. Is CoreWeave moving with Circle? CoreWeave, yeah, CoreWeave. Why not? All-time highs on CoreWeave. Why freaking not? It really sucks when you've got 6 figures in Grab, and then Circle and CoreWeave are up 500% in a month and a half. Circle is 3 weeks, not even a month. I mean, it is what it is, right? This is the nature of this market. It can really mess with you when you've got something that's barely moving, and then you see this shit go to freaking 50 billion in market cap. But this is also what tests your patience as an investor, because I'm damn sure not chasing CoreWeave or Circle right here. My average is 450 in Grab. 450. It is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, look, I wish I had see, here's the thing about picking Grab over some of these other names.
The reason I pick Grab is because on a fundamental basis, it makes sense. If you look at Palantir and Hood, people think like I picked those and they just like went to the moon. No, there was years of consolidation because that's my style. My style is pick a name, fall in love with the vision, fall in love with the company, fall in love with the financials, see the path to profitability, and then hope that there is alpha because it's asymmetric in the context of being a contrarian pick that the market doesn't recognize, which has happened with Hood and Palantir. And we'll see if it happens with Grab. I think it can happen. But that doesn't mean you get an immediate reaction. And then you got other people that are like, all right, get into CoreWeave at 40. And, you know, I don't know if they knew it was going to go to 170, but it's at 170. And then it makes it seem like, you know, Grab is a horrible pick compared to CoreWeave, which it is, quite frankly, because if you bought Grab at 470, you're flat. If you bought CoreWeave at 40, you're up 300%. But the probability of assuming CoreWeave would just go up 3x in a month is not that probable to me. Now it happened, and it looks like a genius if you got into it. But this is where the longevity of this game matters, right? Like, can you really, and quite frankly, are you willing to risk your brand on assuming that a company that probably should not 3x in a month is going to 3x? Like, now maybe there's something you knew that a lot of other people didn't see. And if there's some real logic behind that, sure. But I think a lot of people would acknowledge this is FOMO and this is hype and this is momentum. Now, that doesn't mean that momentum has to go away, but same thing on a lot of these other names that have pumped, like a Circle, like a CoreWeave, probably not an ASTS, because that one, there is a fundamental thesis there, but even that, you know, there's no revenue. So the question becomes, all right, like I'm taking a bet on a story, which again, you've got to know the story really well. If you're betting on something where the financials are looking good and there's a story, but the market's just not getting it, that's, you know, that's something where you just got to be patient on. Now, it sucks to be patient when everything else is mooning, but what else can you do? Because if you go and chase the high flying names and then try to be like, yep, I called CoreWeave at 40 and now it's at 170, the question just becomes, did you actually, like, if Grab goes to 10, I'm not going to be surprised, because I'm like, okay, I think that could happen. It's not going to be a surprise. Robinhood from 7 to 20, that wasn't a surprise. Palantir definitely from 6 to 20 was not a surprise. I mean, all of us had analyzed it for 2 years straight. We knew this thing was worth more than what the market was saying. But I feel like Circle at 150 is a bit of a surprise. And like that, you can't invest based on being surprised. You have to invest based on having some thesis, and hopefully you're pleasantly surprised based on your thesis. But you can't invest being like, oh, Circle at 30 is definitely going to 160, because that's probably not going to happen. Or if that does happen, it's not that often. So you can't kind of build a track record on just betting that stuff like this will happen, because eventually you will get burned and you will be wrong. And, you know, you're just going to be chasing at the end of the day. Yeah, I'll look into TMC. I know a lot of you guys have been asking about it. The problem is it's such a small cap. That's why it's hard to talk about this one. Well, it's actually $2 billion company, 30% up on the day. So it's not as small as before. But this one's up a lot year to date as well. AMD selling off a little bit. Where's AMD? Yeah, that's down. Still up on the day. Still down. And then Tessie, 324. That's Tesla up 2.4. But again, the broader point is, when you go on a journey with a stock, the stock's going to put you through hell, going up, down, staying flat, etc. But if there's a fundamental thesis you believe in, then you can withstand it. And in the meantime, like the reason I think Palantir was easy to hold, yeah, this is actually, I'm just thinking of right now. In 2022, everything was down. So it was very easy to hold Palantir at $6-7 because everything wasn't going up. You know, Tesla was at 100, right? Like everything was down. So you go, you're like, oh, I'm not stupid. The whole market's down, right? Palantir's just down really badly, but everything's down. Now, if you're holding a name that's not moving and the market's mooning, and it's mooning in some very speculative areas that I showed on the list, like RGC, you know, being worth billions of dollars, then you kind of feel stupid for being in these non-speculative names, because at the end of the day, we're here to make money, and you got to buy low, sell high. That's, you know, that's how you make money. But that's also how you get caught in chasing a lot of shit that might not work. And so I just wouldn't sleep well at night if I was taking a big bet on Oklo, because there's nothing fundamental there for me to bet on. It's a story. That's all it is. It's a hope that Trump cares about nuclear energy today. But with Grab, they're going to do almost $3.5 billion of revenue. They're going to adjust the EBITDA 50%. Like, that's just such an easy story to get behind. The question is, do you have the patience to kind of stay with it? Tesla right here, 324. Let me see resistance at 325. Oh, no, we did hit 325 for a second. 325.09 you hit on Tesla. 326 resistance is 14,000 shares. 14,000 shares. If you held and endured anything through Q1, you're already better than most. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, if you did buy grab at like 340, you're up a lot. If you bought any of these names in Q1. So like that is fair. If you did get in closer to the bottom, then regardless of their year-to-date movement, they've massively outperformed from April. Seven says, well, I sold NVIDIA to buy more SoFi. I think SoFi can return more in 5 years than NVIDIA. It will take 3.5 trillion for NVIDIA to return 100%. It would take SoFi 16.4 billion to return 100%. I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. I think that's a very fair argument. Now, is NVIDIA safer than SoFi? One could argue yes, because it's NVIDIA compared to SoFi. But the idea that NVIDIA goes to 250 versus SoFi goes to 28, I mean, yeah, I don't think it's crazy to say in a year from now, SoFi is probably 28 closer in probabilities versus NVIDIA being at 250. Or basically, NVIDIA would have to be 300 because call it 150 right now. So I don't hate that move. Granted, I think that depends on your average, right? If you're, if you're in NVIDIA early days, like early, I wouldn't sell NVIDIA for any reason because I think the story is still intact. But if it was kind of as a trade, then yeah, I think SoFi is potentially a better return. Now, granted, SoFi has got to really change the narrative, and that's up to Noto for the next couple quarters, but the rate cuts will definitely help them do that as well. Oscar, 8% on the day, 1740 on Oscar. 8% on the day for Oscar. Where's Hims? Dude, is Oscar going to pull a Hims? Do you think Oscar is the next Hims? Because Hims has kind of died out in terms of momentum. And I say this as someone who missed the entire run. So, like, Hims is still a great company. I still think it can do very well, but, like, it's not, going up 10, 15% every other day like it was a month ago. But Oscar, we just talked about not chasing stuff, but Oscar looks like the new kid on the block. 7.95% right here on the day. And one could argue it's actually cheap. Oscar's the next Hims. I've been seeing a lot more of the Oscar people on Twitter say this is the next Hims as well. I don't know. We'll do a deep dive. We'll try to go deeper. Because if it is the next Hims, I don't think anyone's missed the run. It's up 20% year to date. It hasn't done much. So, I mean, Hims went from like 5 to 60. Oscar, it's up 30% year to date as of today. Okay, so 30% move, not horrible, but still, market cap's $4 billion. I mean, it's not going to take a lot to get this thing to move. What is the short float on Oscar? Let's see. I'm going to guess it's 15%. I'm going to guess 15. Let's see. Oscar 12. That's actually, I mean, that's a lot, but it's not like crazy. I mean, given it's a short float stock, how many shares outstanding? Oscar has 254 million shares. Okay, yeah. So it's a decent amount relative to the amount of the float. Could it be a squeeze candidate? Because Hims is still a squeeze candidate, given they're 30% short. Yeah, I could see Oscar as a squeeze candidate. I can see that happen. What do you think about Upsellera? I don't know enough about Upsellera, but Arnie does. I'm going to get him on a deep dive, and I'll get to talk to him a little bit more as well. See, but here's the thing. If you're just loading up on Oscar for the hell of loading up on Oscar, it could do well. And I don't hate that. But again, that's just not my investment philosophy. I got to know what I'm buying at this point. Like, I feel like to an extent, I have to know what I'm buying. And that means I'm going to miss a lot of names, but I will not. I can't sleep well enough if I don't understand Oscar. I need to at least understand it. And right now, I don't understand anything other than I do think, based on just the cash they have on hand and the market cap, it seems relatively cheap. If I was trading it, then whatever, right? If you're trading it, you're up 8% today. You can get out your trade. But I'm going to actually, like, at least, I mean, it took me a month to understand Hims. I got in at 54, got in kind of late, but like, I feel relatively comfortable with owning Hims in the portfolio and adding to this position. And so hopefully the deep dive can at least get people that little bit of juice they need to understand what the bull case is on the stock. And also, what are the risks? Because, it is healthcare at the end of the day. There can be some risks. Yeah, I think I'll get Jack Prescott on the ABCL one as well. He reached out to me. So Jack and Arnie are the two guys I'm thinking of doing the deep dive with. But Jack has been talking about it for the past month now as well. Okay, cool. I think that's it, guys. I think that's it. I think we'll be back. It's 11 a.m. We'll be back at 2 p.m. for JPOW 220. S&P up 0.5%. Markets not really caring about Iran, Israel. Trump basically said it's not that big of a, I mean, he didn't say it's not a big deal, but he was acting like it's not that big of a deal based on the press conference he just gave. And I think now all eyes are on Powell. All eyes are on Powell. The poll has 53% of you saying pump on a Powell speech. 53% of you saying pump on the Powell speech. Didn't Druckenmiller say buy now, research later? Yeah, so that's fair. He did say that, and that is a good philosophy, but it's for a company you're really interested in. Like the context to that quote is Druckenmiller says, hey, when you're really interested in a name, even if you don't know enough about it, you buy it and then you research. I wouldn't say I'm really interested about Oscar. Like I'm starting to get interested, but it's not like, oh my goodness, I need this so badly. But I think we'll do a deep dive. Tomorrow there's no market open or market close because the market is closed tomorrow for Juneteenth. So I will try to get a deep dive on Oscar tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern, and we'll try to get a good 2 hours of a basic beginner intro for myself and for everybody else as well. So hopefully we'll get to do that tomorrow later in the day. All right, cool. Word of the day. What do we got? Word of the day. This word is a word I know. I think a lot of you guys know this word. Jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu. I would have absolutely said it wrong if I've never heard this word before, but I've heard it.
Jiu-jitsu.
The use of an opponent's strengths or one's own weaknesses to accomplish a goal. They practice political jiu-jitsu, letting the attack ads boost their own name recognition. He used social jiu-jitsu to turn his chronic lateness into a grand entrance. Okay, that kind of sounds like me. Arriving with a sheepish grin and cracking a joke to feel intentional. Bro, did they study my career and make that sentence for me? I've been doing 2 years of social jiu-jitsu then to turn his chronic lateness into a grand entrance, arriving with a sheepish grin. They even got the grin right, and cracking a joke to make it feel intentional. Okay, that's literally that's literally me every single day. All right, we're done. I'll be back at 2:20 p.m. Eastern. We have JPOW, and we will see if we pause, cut, or raise rates. I'll be back in a couple hours. Bye, everybody. Thanks for being here. I'll be back in about 2.5 hours. Bye, everyone.